This 43-car field roars to life here for this third running of the Checker 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race at Phoenix International Raceway. We're just in the foothills of the rugged Australia Mountains, 20 miles southwest of Phoenix, Arizona, in the Sonoran Desert. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, and don't adjust your sets. No, I'm not Bob Jenkins. Bob is recovering from an illness back in Noblesville, Indiana, and will be back with us for the finale in 2 weeks at Atlanta, Georgia. Well, a couple of Winston Cup competitors are recovering from illness the past couple of weeks. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt have been literally upset and embarrassed about their performance at Charlotte and Rockingham. They both know what they have to do. Mark Martin, if he were to finish third or better today and at Atlanta, he can dust off the mantle and find a place for that Winston Cup trophy. Now, if Martin were to lead the most laps and win it today, and Dale Earnhardt were to finish 40th, Martin would automatically become the Winston Cup champion this afternoon. Hey, but don't bet the grocery money on that one. Now, Earnhardt knows if he wins the race and Martin finishes 10th or worse, then Earnhardt will go into Atlanta as the new Winston Cup point leader. And Mark Martin, well, he'd be in serious trouble. But anytime you're being chased by the intimidator Earnhardt, you're always in trouble. Right, Benny Parsons?
Jerry, really truly, not much has changed since Rockingham. Earnhardt did gain 4 points on Mark Martin, but then Mark Martin still has to finish this race, and finishing sometimes is even harder than trying to win.
Well, that's the truth when he's trying to protect that point lead. Now, we know that Earnhardt's going to go out there and go flat out from start to finish, try to get up front and lead the most laps and get those 5 bonus points. That's his style.
And Mark Martin needs to do it in Phoenix because he does not want to go to Atlanta. The last 3 races in Atlanta, Mark Martin has finished 5th, 30th, and 38th. Earnhardt
finished first, and second. And, you know, talking about dodging bullets, remember last year Rusty Wallace came in here with a 109-point lead, had the lead in the race running away, and all of a sudden he went into turn 1, ran up on Stan Barrett, they tangled, and into the wall he went.
And this year, there is 13 drivers in this race that have run 4 or less Winston Cup events. Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, they're going to have to dodge bullets all day long.
Indeed, they will, Benny Parsons. There are 8 drivers in this field who have rarely run with the Winston Cup regulars. They are the Winston West competitors, and they'll have their own battle to settle today. 35-year-old Bill Sedgwick making only his 2nd start at Phoenix, a 1-point lead over 3-time Winston West champion Bill Smith. Mike Chase still in the hunt. He's Rookie of the Year, only 34 points back. So a lot of races to be decided today. Here, let's take a look at our Sears Die-Hard starting grid. Rusty Wallace winning his 8th career pole, becoming the 13th pole winner of 1990. Will lead the charge alongside Kenny Schrader. Row 2, there's the man in the hunt, Dale Earnhardt. And Davey Allison, what a great second half he's been having. Back to row 3, Dick Trickle, a great run yesterday in the Southwest Tour race. And Greg Sachs back in the Hendrick car. He will start 6th. Row 4, Rick Mass, an impressive qualifying run in that Travis Carter prepared car. And our Winston Cup point leader, Mark Martin. Back to row 5, Ricky Rudd, who led the most laps here 2 years ago, along with Darrell Waltrip looking for a good run in the Tide Machine. Alan Kawicki picking up that first ever Winston Cup win here in 1988 inside row 6, and awesome Bill Elliott will start 12th. Row 7, Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser car. That's the car that's finished 2nd here the past 2 years with Larry Labonte aboard, and Bobby Hillin will flank him. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, gentlemen, it's going to be a great show here. Now, they talk about this being a Ford racetrack, because Fords have won both times in the Winston Cup cars that come out here, Benny, but 8 of the top 10 qualifiers are GM products.
Well, the first race here, the 26 car driven then by Ricky Rudd at General Motors car dominated the race. Last year, Rusty Wallace in a Pontiac had it going his way. Both times the Ford ended up victory lane, but a General Motors car can run as well as a Ford.
Well, indeed, we're looking for a great race. You see a lot of Troy Beebe back making his first Winston Cup start after the injury up at Watkins Glen with a concussion and a fractured pelvis. Good to see him back. Jim Bound, the 30-year-old younger brother of Chuck Bound. He will be in the starting field. A great field of cars, some 43 strong. Now, this Phoenix International Raceway, it's a 1-mile oval. The pole speed, 124.443 miles per hour at 28.92 seconds. It's 312 laps. That's 500 kilometers here. The field separation, 4.6 miles per hour. Field rumbling here, getting the engines roar to life. Of course, we might mention today at the halfway point, lap 156, we're going to give away $10,000, and you fans at home can win a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. If you will call 1-900-246-0101, and of course you'll have a chance to win that Pontiac Grand Prix SE. If you know who's leading at the halfway point. We'll be back with a green flag from Phoenix after this. Chevrolet Lumina safety car, 1991 version, leading the field down, getting set. 27 races, 13 different winners. Of course, remember Rockingham, the 13th different winner. That was Alan Kulwicki. And it was here 2 years ago that he got his first ever Winston Cup win. Now we'll be riding in car with Kyle Petty, the Jason Binoculars in car, in the Peak Antifreeze Pontiac. Dick Trickle, Phillips 56 in car. Camera, you'll see the face cam looking out the bumper there of the Trickle car. And of course the Quaker State in car. There's Brett Bodine, the Kenny Bernstein owned machine, as well as a side camera looking out the side. You'll see some great shots there in this very, very narrow racetrack. Getting set for the green flag. Rusty Wallace picks up his first pole of the 1990 season. A record crowd. We are told it'll exceed 75,000. Possibly a record for a sporting event in the state of Arizona. We'll let you know later on today as they come to their feet. Safety car will pull away out of turn 4. A Pontiac and Chevrolet on the front row. A pair of Chevrolets in row 2. Wallace bringing them down very slow and very deliberate. Green flag. Complete. Rusty Wallace picking up where he left off here in practice. One of the quickest cars in practice since they arrived here on Thursday afternoon. And Wallace has the Pontiac at the point.
But here comes Dale Earnhardt. That black number 3 lost a few car lengths onto the start, but he's on the back bumper of Schrader trying to take that second spot away.
And Mark Martin, where's our Winston Cup point leader? Well, there he is. Mark Martin working over Greg Sachs there in the car number 18.
Jerry, he's moving up, trying to take over the 7th position. He started 8th, so, and here's Earnhardt being very aggressive.
Remember, we told you these guys were upset? No, they were embarrassed about their performances. Mike Chase has tagged the wall in at turn 1. He scrapes a little bit, and yet we have not seen the yellow flag. That's the car number 23, the Rookie of the Year in the Winston West Championship battle.
Earnhardt has his sights on that other black car, Rusty Wallace, as Jerry mentioned, his first pole position of 1990 here on Friday.
There's Mark Martin. Get a shot out of the bumper cam. Get a big shot of that Folgers Ford Thunderbird. That's Dick Trickle's bumper cam, the Phillips 56 car, looking back at Mark Martin. Currently in 6th place, Trickle in 5th.
There's Alan Kulwicki, winner last week, trying to get by Bill Elliott going down in turn 3. That's 3 Fords, the red 11. Jeff Bodine watching this action, trying to figure out which way to go.
And Mark Martin now moves to the inside of Dick Trickle. Will take away that spot. Take away the 5th spot.
Man, I'm surprised that Mark Martin is running this hard this early. I really am.
Evidently, his car is working to his satisfaction, Denny, and feels good running at that speed, so he don't want Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace and them to get too far away from him, so asserting himself.
Well, let's check in the pits with John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, one of the reasons that Mark is doing this, Jack Roush told me earlier today, if the car will run, he's going to run to the front because of the number of West Coast drivers who they don't have experience running with on the racetrack. They want to run with the guys that they know that they can predict what they are going to do out there on the racetrack. They want to pit with them. Now, Dale Earnhardt, on the other hand, their strategy is simple. They've got 2nd place locked up. They're going to go out and run it to the front as hard as they can for as long as they can.
Great battle back there for 11th spot as Kulwicki now moves inside of Bill Elliott. 2 Fords dueling, and that's right. That's Ricky Rudd right in front of him along with Darrell Waltrip. The 7 of Kulwicki, the Xerox Ford. 2 previous Phoenix winners here. Of course, Kulwicki winning in '88, and Elliott won it last year. They're battling for 11th spot. Kulwicki gets the advantage inside of turn 1 by half a car length. What a tremendous string Ford has been on since Dover, Delaware. They've won the last 5 in a row, scattering out among 5 different Ford drivers. course, Ford having won both times here at Phoenix International Raceway.
And, of course, those 5 wins in a row has put Ford and Chevrolet in a tie for the Manufacturers' Championship.
179 points each. Chevrolet and Ford has not won it for a long time. They're door-to-door down in turn 1. 5 make it 6 cars now. On the screen, you see Greg Sachs there as Ricky Rudd trying to move over beneath the team car. That's the Hendrick Motorsports efforts for both those cars. Right behind him, the Ford battle continues between Kawicki and Elliott.
Sachs is dropping back a little bit. He started up in front, has lost a few positions. Trying to get his car sorted out. Look, Kawicki's going to try to get inside him. That main lead, Bill Elliott, hung out to dry.
Action all over this racetrack out here, the Desert Jewel, they call it. Rusty Wallace still leading up front, but we've got serious action here in the pack as they now file, single file down the back straightaway. See Ernie Irvin just moving around car number 94. That's Sterling Marlin, who had a great run here a year ago. Irvin in the Kodak Field car. Back inside the Quaker State in car. That's Bobby Hillman right in front of Brett Bodine, the Snickers Buick. Very high prepared car. You see Brett Bodine there looking, trying to see if he can get a move underneath Hillman and possibly get up and move on Sterling Marlin in front of him. They're single filed and now possibly getting underneath as Hillman makes the wide move to try to get to the high side. Kawicki is on the move. Alan Kawicki now goes by Greg Sachs in the car number 18.
And, Jerry, they're finding that the outside groove is beginning to work early here in the race. We see Elliott now trying to move by Greg Sachs on the outside.
And Kawicki will take the 10th spot, now being shown in the top 10. We've got racing all over the place here at Phoenix International Raceway, the Checker 500-kilometer event. And there is Rusty Wallace, who is showing the way in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. Jack Roush and many others watching. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Back in the Valley of Sun in Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix International Raceway. Our leader, Rusty Wallace. 2 wins in 1990, 1 coming on a super speedway. Picking up his first pole of the year. He is pulled away. Wallace, an advantage over the second place car of Dale Earnhardt. There comes Earnhardt into your picture now, just coming out of turn 4, the Goodrich Chevrolet. Earnhardt and Wallace, possibly the 2 strongest cars in practice here throughout the week.
Time will tell just exactly who is the best. As the tires get hot, as they get a few laps on this racetrack, someone will become the dominant car. Maybe Earnhardt, it may be Wallace, maybe Mark Martin. And that's the great thing about stock car racing. You never know these things until the race is actually about 50 miles old.
Let's check the interval between Earnhardt and Mark Martin, who now is being shown back in the 4th place. There's Martin coming out of turn 4. Schrader goes by. He's the 3rd place car. Then Martin just behind him, Davey Allison. So about 20 car lengths separating Earnhardt and Martin. Great battles back in the pack. Again, we get back to that Quaker State Buick. Brett Bodine now makes the move as the inside line on Bobby Hillman in the car number 8. They are behind Sterling Marlin. What a shot at the right side door there from the in-car camera. You see how close they get. A very narrow racetrack here, guys.
It is a narrow racetrack. This is the side cam. There's a camera mounted right on the side of Brett Bodine's Quaker State Buick.
They're racing for 16th and 17th positions, racing just as hard as if they were racing for the lead.
Ooh, Brett almost got in the back of Sterling Marlin.
Hillman now takes advantage of Marlin's bobble a little bit and will try to go around him. Good run for Bobby Hillman in the Snickers car. Now he moves in front of the Sunoco efforts for Sterling Marlin, who had such a good run here a year ago. Brett Bodine sitting back there. It's a brand new race car for Bodine. They had the car at Rockingham, had a little trouble with a punctured radiator there, but they were hoping this car would run well on the 1-mile flat track here in Phoenix. Now he's making the move just inside a wall. A little fender tag there as Sterling hangs on to his car, the Oldsmobile and the Buick coming together.
There comes Derek Cope in the picture. Birthday boy. Today is Derek Cope's birthday.
Happy birthday, Derek. Of course, from Spanaway, Washington. A lot of locals out here on the West Coast have come to see him race after our Daytona 500 win this year and the win at Dover, Delaware. He slips a little bit and bobbles and allows Marlin to get back in front of him.
Now here we see Morgan Shepherd in the car 15 and Harry Gant up on the outside there. They were pretty far behind this group, about 5 laps to go, fellas, and they have caught up to them. So Morgan Shepherd and Harry Gant on the go.
There was a lot of confidence in the Morgan Shepherd garage area, and Bud Moore and Greg and the crew thought they really had it set up to work at this racetrack here, and Morgan felt very comfortable that he was going to be a factor as he moves beneath Gant now and will start to make his move on Cope and Marlin.
The trouble Morgan Shepherd's going to have to overcome is this qualifying spot. Starting back way back in the field, and it's a long ways to go. As you said, it's a narrow racetrack, and getting past these cars is going to be awfully difficult.
Well, he did start in 30th position, Benny, and he has not been pleased with his qualifying efforts. He said, we have a good car for race day, but we just can't seem to qualify well. But one thing about it, there are only front stretch pits here at Phoenix, so they don't have to worry about if they have a bad qualifying run pitting on the back stretch. Everybody pits on the front here.
Greg Moore told me they have a setup under the car much like Richmond. They've got the same kind of motor and header and compression combination. They have a similar kind of cam when they want to get the car off the corner in a hurry. A lot of crews come here with a Rockingham type setup. The car's a little sluggish off the corner, but not the 15 car. Morgan said he wants that bite off the corner so he can try to chase some people down.
As we watch this action between Derek Cope and the 94 car and also the 15 of Morgan Shepherd, Rusty Wallace is still leading in the Miller Junior Draft Pontiac. Earnhardt is second, Ken Schrader's third, and Mark Martin is fourth. Cope just couldn't make the pass, could he, Ned?
No, he just couldn't get the traction he needed down there on the inside. That outside group really beginning to work now. See, Wallace is not tugging the inside the way that we have seen him in past years here.
No, he is bringing the car up in the middle of the racetrack just a little bit.
We'd like to remind the folks again that Goodyear Tire and Rubber will be donating $1,000 in the name of our pole sitter. That man right there, Rusty Wallace, is moving in on Troy Beebe's car, and that money will be donated to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. Thanks to the Goodyear folks and Rusty Wallace, who just slips by Beebe, winning his 8th career pole and becoming the 13th different front runner at the start of the race for 1990. There's Wallace. Where's number 2? Number 3, our second place car, Dale Earnhardt, McGoodwin Chevrolet.
He's keeping pace with him, Jerry. Earnhardt doesn't seem to be gaining very much on the car number 27 of Rusty Wallace, but he is keeping pace with him.
We saw some cars making moves a little bit ago. We talked about Kowicki coming up, and he's working the rear of Ricky Rudd. Just gets beneath Rudd and puts the point of that Xerox Ford, and he will be a chase in the turn 3. Rudd to the outside. Kowicki makes the move, and now Bill Elliott says, well, I'd like to make it. Can't quite get through there as Rudd slams the door.
And right in front of Alan Kowicki is Davey Allison, who qualified 4th. Started outside of the second row, and he's moving backwards.
He's backing up a little bit. Let's check in the pits with Rick DeBrule, one of our 2 pit reporters today. Rick.
Well, down here in Davey Allison's pit, the word is that his car is pushing just a bit. Not a serious problem, something they're going to adjust when they come into those first round of pit stops, which here should take place at about 90 to 95 laps in.
And Rick DeRule mentioned pit stops. Let's bring out the fact that they're using the bias ply tires here in Phoenix, not the radial tires. So the crews will have the option of changing the stagger on the pit stop, changing the size of the tire, which will affect how the chassis handles.
Indeed, a number of drivers were being very thankful they're back on the bias ply tires. Inside there with Dick Trickle, the Phillips 56N car, looking up. What a great run Rick Mast has had. Boy, he has had some impressive qualifying efforts and runs in that Banquet car, the Chevrolet for Travis Carter. And of course, Mast will be moving on to the Richard Jackson team for 1990, driving for Skoll.
And Jerry, he just went around Dick Trickle a couple of laps ago, so he is on the move, having a great run here so far. There he goes down low. This car seems to stick down low. He sees Darrell Waltrip up in front of him.
Boy, what 2 different lines they ran. Darrell Waltrip went in the corner, went very, very high down in 1, and Mast was able to keep the car on the bottom. Let's see if Darrell could keep it on the bottom up in 3 and 4. No, he's still bringing the car off very, very high.
And Darrell Waltrip is the type of a guy that loves to run on the low side of the racetrack if his car will let him. Here's another good battle.
Just behind the battle you were watching a minute ago, you heard Rick DeBrule say about that car number 28 is pushing the car, literally coming up across the racetrack in the corners as Ricky Rudd now goes beneath Davey Allison. See the car push up in the corners, and now Elliott makes the move, just opens the door, and Bill Elliott drives beneath his fellow Ford driver, Davey Allison.
And I tell you, fellas, if you get a race car that's pushing in the center of the corner, as David Allison's car is, and it's pretty warm here this afternoon, not as hot as it normally gets in Phoenix, but still the sun's shining down on the asphalt, and when that track gets slicker and slicker, that pushing problem gets greater and greater.
One driver who's pushing his way toward the front is this one right here, Mark Martin, our current point leader. Martin right shown in the 4th spot, and that's Schrader, the 3rd place car. Benny, he's catching him.
He is. He is not only catching him, he's caught him. Just 2 car lengths separating the 2.
And there's the 2nd place car, Earnhardt. Now, Martin is going to try to keep him in view all afternoon. Earnhart, and we go right up in front of Earnhardt.
Wow.
You see, whoa, boy.
Earnhardt split those 2 cars. The car of Jim Bound and Gary Collins, a couple of cars that are left. Wow.
Earnhardt's a man on a mission, I think.
I think he is too, Jerry.
Rusty Wallace showing the way here in the early laps of this Checker 500 at Phoenix International Raceway. Lots of laps to come your way. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, that man right there, Rusty Wallace, started on the front row, inside the front row, and he's led ever since. Has not been headed. What a great run thus far. Keeping the car hooked up right on the bottom of the racetrack. See him hugging that yellow groove. Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac showing the way. And remember, if you watch this race and you know who's leading at halfway points, you can win a Pontiac Grand Prix. So you call and register right now, 1-900-246-0101. You must be 18 years of age to participate. And your number will be registered, and they'll call you back within an hour. If you know who is leading at the halfway point, lap 156, then you will win a Pontiac Grand Prix SE. If you don't know who's leading at the halfway point, you get $500.
Man, that's quite a drop, isn't it, from a Pontiac Grand Prix to $500?
A little bit of a drop, but of course the fellow who's leading at halfway point gets $10,000, and they're really challenging now. Mark Martin and Schrader. You'd never know Martin's in a point championship. What kind of body language was that?
Man, I'm trying to get Martin to diss him a little bit there. I can't believe Mark is running this hard. You know, while we were on break, those 2 cars got together, and I thought Schrader was going to spin out.
They're racing for 3rd. Martin, I think his car's a little faster, but he just hasn't been able to get by. I think if he could get by Schrader, that he would be able to pull away from him.
And let me show you what we saw just a moment ago. Mark Martin's trying to get under Ken Schrader coming off the 2nd corner. He drives under him. Schrader comes down a little bit, and Martin touches the rear. And Mark, you don't want to spin anybody out in front of you today, especially today.
I tell you, Kenny Schrader did a great job on this flat racetrack to gather it back in. That sprint car and dirt car experience really coming in handy.
Look at Darrell Waltrip on the outside. No! Excuse me, boy.
Boy, is that the Watusi you're doing up here in the booth?
I didn't think that Darrell.
Did you do that in the race car? I mean, did you have a pivoting seat in the car that you could move around like that? We're having some fun, and indeed, these guys are having a blast out there. Kenny Schrader trying to hold on, and now he's pulled away some 3 car lengths over Mark Martin in the car number 6, and Darrell Waltrip is on the move.
Yeah, he's looking pretty impressive. He has caught those fellas. He was about a half a straightaway behind them, and look at him coming up on them and using an unfamiliar groove for Darrell Waltrip, somewhat of a high groove.
Waltrip moving in on him there, but they're battling back here as Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and Harry Gant. Oldsmobile, Ford, and Oldsmobile. Those 3 cars battling. Marlin has the advantage right now. We told you that knew Gant would be strong. And on the bottom of the racetrack, Morgan Shepherd just hangs onto that yellow line and turns left.
Gant going to try up on the outside. He got a good run off of that turn, but there's no room up there. He has to back off. Here comes Michael Waltrip into the picture, right to the right of your screen in the car number 30. Derek Cope's still in there. Those 5 cars have really been having a battle. And look who they're running up on, Jeff Bodine and several other cars up there.
Sterling Marlin is extremely strong coming off the corner. They've got a lot of horsepower in that car. Dewey Livengood's done a great job with the car drifting up a little bit. That may be an opportunity for Morgan Shepherd, but Morgan Shepherd just can't quite get the car to stick coming off the corner.
That's another situation. I think Morgan Shepherd's car is a little bit quicker right now than Sterling's, but he just can't get by. You mentioned the groove fairly narrow. It's a flat racetrack. Where Sterling Marlin and Harry Gant is running, there's a good grip up there, but it's ooh, now Harry's going to try to make it 3 abreast. No, Harry, come on, buddy. Harry can't get back because Michael's going to.
He has been looking everywhere for a spot to go, Harry Gant has, and he just can't. In the middle, Harry, that's not it.
No, it's not time for the skull sandwich yet, Harry. Harry's between the old rock and the hard place. If he moves to the inside, tries to follow Morgan, then Michael Waltrip gets up there and takes his spot.
Now, Morgan, move up. You got him. Move up. Now Harry's going to come along and he'll move up and take that spot away. No, he won't. Look at that.
Boy, Marlin is so strong when he jumps back in that throttle coming off the corner, and Harry just can't quite pull him. And maybe if he gets that advantage in turn 1, we'll see if Marlin will slide up again in 1. As he does, he both slide up. And hello, Michael Waltrip.
The racetrack is getting a little bit slippery. Those tires are getting a little bit hot, and they are really going at it, having some fun.
Well, they're slipping and sliding a little bit, and of course we understand that also Mark Martin is having his problems. Let's check in the pits with John Kernan.
Jerry, they've told Mark to back off just a little bit. They saw the contact out there with Kenny Schrader, as we spoke of earlier on the racetrack. They said if you don't have the opportunity to make a clean pass, as he now has the opportunity to pass him cleanly, and he is going by Kenny Schrader as we speak. They said this hold back until you do have an opening. Don't take an unnecessary chance.
We can see Martin's car is loose as he comes off the corners. He's losing the back end. He's fighting the wheel, trying to keep the thing in tow. But as Ned said, he's faster than Schrader, but he just can't get by. Now, he's going to try again, going in turn 3, but he has to back off because he might let his car push him. And Darrell's on the outside. Does Martin know he's there?
Well, and now that Darrell has made a move up high where he can see him, old DW making a move. Still looking for that first win in 1990. Now Waltrip able to move by, and Rick Mast trying to get that position. Martin's car slides up. He's loose. Mast didn't know Martin was that loose. They have a little bit of contact. Oh, Mark Martin, I tell you, you've been aggressive here early on. Earlier we asked Mark Martin, what do you do to approach this race? How are you approaching the running of the Checker 500, Mark?
Same as we always do, and hope that you know, that the 2 weeks are behind us, the last 2 races, and just keep going forward. You know, our car almost always runs good, runs toward the front. You can't expect to have that. You know, there's a few races out every year that you're just not going to perform like you want to, and hopefully that's all behind us.
Well, apparently their performance already today certainly surpassing their efforts at Charlotte and at Rockingham with their abysmal showing there, both that car and the Earnhardt car. We mentioned before, they were both fairly embarrassed. They would like to have run better there.
Mark Martin is probably the most frustrated man in America right now because he's faster than Schrader. If he could just have gotten by Schrader, they've been able to run down Wallace and Dale Earnhardt, or at least keep pace. Now Wallace and Earnhardt is driving away from him.
There's Rusty Wallace. He moves in on the Chad Little car, driving from Moroso. There's Earnhardt, who seems to be closing just a little bit on Rusty Wallace, and Wallace is now getting into some traffic. Rusty Wallace is our leader here as 48 laps are being shown in the books. 312 comprising this
crash up in turn 3.
Heavy contact. Michael Waltrip is involved.
Looks like Derek Cope's car down on the inside, maybe.
Bobby Hillen's car is down on the inside.
Derek Cope has come to rest there. Hillen Snicker's car.
And Dave Marcus is sitting up in the back. Albert Marcus Chevrolet is sitting up against the wall.
Sterling Marlin. There is Mark Martin, our point leader, who apparently has avoided as he makes his way through. Tiptoes through that area between turns 3 and 4. And there is Earnhardt headed down into turn 1.
All of heavy damage to Kyle Petty's Pete Pontiac. Some tremendous damage to the left front. We're looking from the inside of Kyle's car.
Kyle raises the visor to try to be able to see there as he is pulling the car down. Left front fender is crunched in. The Jason Binoculars in car looking right at Kyle. He loosens the belt a little bit. He knows it's going to be quite a bit here. Let's take a look again at what happened.
Well, we see Morgan Shepherd trying to get inside of the Bobby Hillen car. They go up and they make contact. And around goes Hillen. Here comes
Bodine gets by.
Bodine gets by. Another car gets by. And then Hillen comes back across the racetrack right in the front of Michael Waltrip.
Michael Waltrip and, of course, Hillen taking the biggest impact. Pit stops. First pit stops of the day. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt's crew awaiting his arrival. Rusty will beat him just a little bit. Earnhardt pulls the Goodrich Chevrolet in slowly. It will be a 4-tire change. The Childers crew will elect to go with 4 scuff tires versus 4 sticker tires. And now the left side lugs are coming off. Right side tires on, jacks down. And now they will go around to work on the left side. A pretty good pit stop in the making left side jacked up, and Rusty Wallace, who I can see his left side just now going up. So Earnhardt having a good pit stop. He is out. Mark Martin is also in. The crew going to work on the right side. They swing around, finish that work, and swing around to the left side. It will likewise be a 4-tire change, getting the 2 cans of gasoline in, as much gasoline as they can. Robin Pivington tightening the lugs. Martin getting them out and just barely squeezes by Greg Sachs.
A lot of activity in the pits. Dale Earnhardt's crew, a great job in the pits, just barely beating the car number 27's crew out. We'll tell you why in just a moment. Of course, as Earnhardt in the Goodrich Chevrolet now being shown at the front of the field. 50 laps complete of the 312 comprising the Checker 500. Dale Earnhardt is our leader. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, safety crew still working up in turns 3 and 4. They have removed Michael Waltrip from his heavily damaged Country Time Maxwell House Pontiac. Michael sustaining a very hard side impact just moments ago. This broke loose up in turns 3 and 4. You look at the right of your screen, you will see the car number 15, Morgan Shepherd, coming in contact with Bobby Hillin. Hillin slams the wall and it comes across an evasive move there. And watch for Michael Waltrip's car trying to spin. They slam door to door. Hard impact for Michael Waltrip and Bobby Hillin. And we'll take a look now real time from the Jason Binoculars in-car of Kyle Petty.
I wonder what Kyle Petty hit. It was the inside wall.
Yeah, he got through the wreck as far as the cars were concerned, but he was out of control when he got through the wreck and hit that inside wall. Michael Waltrip is alert, it looks like, holding his head up.
Left leg wrap. Jerry, do they?
Yeah, the right leg they have strapped there. He is awake, of course, and has his arms crossed. Obviously, he's not a happy camper right now. That car running so well, and he certainly would like to have had a good run today. Bill Engel and the crew were hoping to have a good run out of that car number 30. Now, that kind of side impact that he took a couple of years ago might have been more of a serious problem, but NASCAR has improved seat technologies. We show this track fact.
This track fact is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
Another major rules change in the off-season involves seat technology. NASCAR made a move to standardize the attachment of the seats within the race car. Here's what they did. They required everyone to put a 1/8-inch plate behind the seat. Through this plate into the seat would be 4 5/16-inch bolts all the way through here in the seat. Now, from the back of this plate would be 2 3/8-inch bolts completely through the cross roll bar. That would assure the seat would remain in position. The problem concern was the driver in the seat, if it took a hard lick on the right side, the seat may flex itself or possibly come apart from this roll bar. But now with this move, NASCAR guarantees all seats will be bolted down to this crossbar.
Certainly played a major part in the safety here for Michael Waltrip and Bobby Hillin, as those fans are really enjoying the coverage and, of course, the racing weather here at Phoenix, Arizona. Stay with us. Don't go away. We'll be back. Still under caution at Phoenix International Raceway. The first caution of the afternoon. And why? Well, Ned Jarrett, they really came together hard up in turn 3.
Well, we saw that crowd racing so hard back there. Morgan Shepherd went into the turn on the inside of Bobby Hillin. They got together and slams Hillin into the wall. Jeff Bodine goes by on the inside, and here goes a lap car by on the inside as well. But the other cars behind them locked their brakes up, trying to avoid running directly into them. And when it all wound up, we had 6 cars that were involved. Dave Marcus, Derek Cope, Bobby Hillin, Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty, and Morgan Shepherd.
And, of course, pit stops ensued, and we will show you how Dale Earnhardt became the leader by virtue of the pit stops with our Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance. Driver time 13.210 seconds. Crew time now 22.2 seconds. The total 35.4. How about our previous leader, Rusty Wallace?
Well, he got down pit road at exactly the same time as Earnhardt, 13.2, but his crew took a little bit longer. As a result, the total pit stop time was 37.2. That was enough to put him in second place.
One reason for that is that this team is going to break apart after Atlanta. So there has some people left already. The jack man, Scott Robinson, this is the first time that he's ever jacked a car. He's been the truck driver all year, but he's just been behind the wall. they pressed him into duty. He's the jack man.
And we're talking about Rusty Wallace's
crew, right.
And they picked up Billy Wilburn as a left rear tire changer, and they've sort of tried to put together some people because they are scattering off to different teams. And so it's to be said, well, for Jimmy Maycar and the crew, they were able to work on this car and get it on the pole and run well. But I got to imagine that when they drop the green flag, Rusty's going to be right back after old number 3.
And you know, Dale Earnhardt has the lead. He picked up 5 bonus points. Now, if you don't watch Winston Cup racing too much on TV, if you lead a lap during the race anytime, you pick up 5 bonus points. Earnhardt now has that 5. This guy, Mark Martin, does not have those bonus points, so the lead now is 40 points.
Let's see if we can raise Mark Martin. This is Ned Jarrett in the ESPN booth. You read me?
Hey, Ned.
How's it going out there?
We're doing as good as we had hoped to. Right now, car got a little bit loose. And I got up to Kenny and was going to get by him and drive on. And when I got to him, I got the rear tires hot. Couldn't get by him, and we were just stuck there loose. And, everybody's loose right now. The track's real slick. So I think we're in pretty good shape here. We just got to run along here and gradually pass a few of these cars.
You look pretty aggressive there for a while.
Well, we run aggressive all the time. Just sometimes it didn't look like it because we're not running as good as others. But it was a little bit noticeable there for a while. And then we got the rear tires burned up. But everybody got loosened in. And Kenny had the outside lane, and you couldn't pass him on the inside lane. It's too slick.
Okay, go get him.
Thank you.
Mark Martin in the Folgers Ford, currently being shown in 5th place. If the race ended right now, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt, well, Earnhardt would be only within 20 points of Mark Martin, and Earnhardt said he would like to be within 10 points going into Atlanta because he pays 5 points to lead a lap and 5 points to lead the most laps, and he thinks he can do both of that and possibly become the Winston Cup champion as he goes up and waves at Elmo Langley driving the safety car there. We are under caution here for the first time this afternoon. Dale Earnhardt showing the way, 20 laps left. Stay with us. Phoenix International Raceway, Dale Earnhardt being shown as our leader, and we had a major collision up in turn 3. And of course, they're working on the Kyle Petty car, Benny, but Kyle did a tremendous thing.
I tell you what, if we can just show that film one more time, I want to show you Kyle Petty. We're watching these cars, the 8 and the 15 get together. They spin. Now the 8 goes up and backs in the wall. Jeff Bodine goes by. Bobby Hillin comes back across the wall. Gary Collins goes by. Now Harry Gant goes by. Here cars come spinning in. We see Michael Walter. Then we see the 94 car sitting there. And with oncoming traffic, here comes Kyle Petty. He's going to hit him head on. He turns the car dead left and runs into the inside wall. But he missed Sterling Marlin. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness he did, because he would have hit him right in the door had he gone on the exact way that he was going.
And watch Kyle Petty get ready to turn. Turns hard left. Just a miss and slams the concrete wall. Now they're working on the car. There's Gary Nelson and the rest of the Peak crew.
Of course, Kyle in 6th place in the point standing, so they want to get as many points as they can here today, too.
Top 20 after 59 laps. Earnhardt, Wallace, Schrader, Waltrip, Mark Martin currently being shown in 5th place. 6 through 10, Rick Mast, Alan Kowicki, Rudd, Trickle, and Ernie Irvin in the top 10. 11 through 15, Elliott, Bodine, Sachs, Bodine, and Gant. 16 through 20, you look at them, Dale Jarrett in 20th spot. Stay with us. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, Jerry Bunch along with Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and joining us this week from here in Phoenix, Arizona, Rick DeBrule. And Rick, how about the drivers involved in that accident? How is everybody?
Well, the update right now, Michael Waltrip apparently has been complaining of some head and chest pains. They took him to the infield. They looked him over there. They've decided they're going to transport him to a local hospital for some x-rays. As for Bobby Hillin, he's also complaining of a little bit of pain as well. He, too, will be transported. Michael Waltrip's crew was actually trying to work on the car to see if they couldn't get it back in this event, but they've changed their mind. They're going to call it quits for the day because of Michael.
They know that Michael Waltrip's a tough guy. Just remember what happened in Bristol, Tennessee early in the year in the Busch race. You know he can walk away from about anything. So our best wishes to Michael. He'll hopefully get x-rayed and get back, and we'll get a further update on that. We might mention again Bob Jenkins, our leader, not here today, up in Noblesville, Indiana, flat on his back, a pinched nerve, scrubbing too many floors, we're told. I don't know, Bob. We got some great crowd here watching some tremendous Winston Cup racing action as that Chevrolet pace car pulls it away. Double file restart, lap cars on the inside, and Earnhardt will lead the charge here back to the green flag. thundering by at 145 miles an hour out of turn 1. Now headed up the back straightaway, 1,500 feet. Darrell Waltrip really putting the move. Waltrip right in front of our point leader, Mark Martin. Get a move on fellow Hendrick teammate, Kenny Schrader.
Sanders, the car that is spun off of turn 2 down on the inside on the backstretch, Jerry. It looks like the 26 car of Brett Bodine and the car number 57 being driven by Jimmy Bowen. No caution yet. They're way off the racetrack back there. So there you see Jim Bowen in the Heinz 57 car trying to find his way back out to the racetrack, stirring up a little bit of dust there.
See, we're in the desert back here, and it's awfully dusty. Bowen trying to get back on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace not wasting any time trying to move in and take that top spot away from Dale Earnhardt.
Rusty closes right up on the back wheel of Earnhardt's car from the middle of the corner, but Earnhardt is able to jump back on the gas and pull it off the corner.
Right behind them, of course, Waltrip and Martin, and now Wallace trying to get the advantage coming out of turn 2. Earnhardt hugs the inside of the racetrack. Remember, it's a dog leg left to get in that back straightaway. Awfully slick up in turn 3 when they had all that speedy dry down a minute ago for that accident.
Watch Earnhardt's car's going to drift up. Rusty's going to try to get inside.
You know, fellas, this was the championship battle of 1989. Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. And Wallace gets the measure of him going into the turn. But Earnhardt gets together a little bit again. Gets him a little loose and pulls right back up on the inside.
Boy, awful dangerous game of tag that Earnhardt's playing here, and he's in the Winston Cup points hunt. Nothing to lose for Kenny Schrader or Rusty Wallace. As Schrader now moved to the inside of Wallace. Wallace apparently having possibly heated up his tires a little bit.
Well, he might have, but he also got out there in the position. He said, hey, the best thing I'd do is back off here and regroup and get those fellas one at a time.
Ken Schrader showing some wonderful strength early on here. Rusty Wallace, though, the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, seems to be so far the car to beat.
He was very strong, of course, in qualifying. Look at this.
Oh, 66 blows. Dick Trickle blows going down the back straightaway. A big plume of smoke.
And Harry Gann, I believe, got in the oil, and he has hit the wall.
Looking out of the back of the Trickle car, a lot of smoke. You see Morgan Shepherd moving up high. Gann has indeed tagged the wall, and he is very slow just before the Goodyear Bridge. There's Harry Gann in the Skoll Bandit Oldsmobile. What a tough break. Gann, who had really been coming up in a hurry. Caution flag being displayed for the second time today. 50-year-old Harry Gann. Boy, they thought they were going to have a great day today. Leo Jackson, Andy Petrie, and the crew. Gann has tagged the wall, and now inside the 66 Crop Arctic in-car camera as Trickle just sort of shakes his head and will begin to coast his way back to the garage area. Lap 70. Caution number 2 for the afternoon.
Well, that team has had a lot of tough luck in the last half of 1990.
We see the smoke. We see the smoke coming out from the car. There's nothing burning. That's just some oil that's on the headers that's burning off. There's no problem there.
Well, if they had to have a caution in a timely spot, it's unfortunate for Dick Trickle, but they wanted to get an ambulance out of the inside of the racetrack, and now the ambulance will leave through the opening there. Just off of turn 2, they will exchange ambulances. One will be transporting, we heard we're going to transport Michael Waltrip and Bobby Hillen for some further x-rays and checkouts. As Harry Gann makes his way on the pit road, the other ambulance comes in.
And Harry Gann is the only car on, well, Richard Petty is the other car on pit road.
Second caution flag of the day here for the Checker 500. Dale Earnhardt showing the way. Rusty Wallace right on his bumper. A lot of action. Stay with us. Still under caution here at Phoenix International Raceway. The latest caution produced by the blown engine of the Dick Trickle car. And of course, Harry Gann, he didn't dodge this bullet, unfortunately. Gann got in the oil and tagged the outside wall in the back straightaway. Leo Jackson and the rest of the Skoll crew have the car jacked up. This caution, a real break for Brett Bodine. Why? Because just before this caution came out, coming out of turn 2, here's Brett Bodine trying to move inside of Jim Bowen. Watch the contact.
So they get together, spin to the inside, just barely missing the wall and sliding on down into just a level dust dirt area down there.
This enabled, of course, Brett Bodine to be able to catch us to the field. As you see, work continuing on Harry Gann's car. Our top 10, Dale Earnhardt, Schrader, having a great run. Schrader, the pole sitter here a year ago. Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip, tremendous run early on, and Mark Martin currently being shown in 5th spot. 6 through 10, Rick Mast, again a tremendous run. Kowicki, the former winner here. Rudd, who led the most laps here a couple of years ago. Ernie Irvin, the winner at Bristol, and Jeff Bodine showing in the 10th spot. Well, we're going to take you all the way to the Winston Cup Championship. 2 weeks, November 18th. NASCAR racing, the finale of the year. The $18 million tour comes to a close at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Atlanta Journal 500 live, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to join us there as we will tell you live who's going to win it all. Who's going to win the $1 million Winston Cup prize.
Not only are we going to tell them, we're going to show them.
Indeed we are, BP. We're going to show you some more racing action there. Doubled up here coming out of 4. Schrader has been bumping his buddy Earnhardt under the caution flag, letting him know he's back there. We'll see now if he can make it for real under green.
Tried to dip down to the inside and get back in the lead lap. He lost a lap during that big accident.
He didn't think Kyle Petty would lose more than that. He should have lost the front end of that car.
Yeah.
Mark Martin on the outside of Rick Wilson, following Darrell Walker.
Rick Wilson is a lap down. He had just been lapped before the big wreck.
Martin being shown in 5th position. Earnhardt, of course, the leader. There's Martin right behind Darrell Waltrip, who's the 4th place car. Who's right behind the 3rd place car of Rusty Wallace.
Rusty is hung up on the outside of the 94. Sterling Marlin just can't get by. Looks like Rusty's car works very well on the bottom of the racetrack, but not that well on top. If Sterling goes down to the bottom, Rusty goes to the apron trying to get by the 94.
Boy, he really went down low that time.
Meanwhile, that opens the door for Darrell.
Darrell will take the advantage of the inside position down the back straightaway in turn 3 and take the spot away. Waltrip takes 3rd.
Rusty just can't get position. That's the problem. Of course, he created that one himself that time when he went down on the inside of Marlin.
Now Mark Martin takes a shot at Wallace down in turn 1. Rusty gives Mark plenty of racing room. Martin can't quite get the car to hook up coming off the corner. Wallace pulled him by a car length.
There's Rick Mast right behind Mark Martin. Frozen Foods Planters Peanut Chevrolet.
Showing you some of the cars involved in that first crash up in turn 3 that are out of the race. Of course, here again involved in the second crash. Actually, the blown engine, his car coming in contact with the wall from oil out of the trickle motor. They are still working on the Gant car.
Rusty Wallace is very, very slow down in 1. Rusty Wallace off the pace.
Oh, a tough break for Rusty Wallace. The car just slowed dramatically up the back straightaway.
I don't know if he's got a flat tire or an engine problem.
I believe it's an engine problem, Benny. I think that he'd be going faster than that if it was just a flat tire. What a tough break, because he did certainly have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
I think Rusty felt this racetrack owed him one after last year coming in here with a 109-point lead and looked like he was going to coast to victory and came together with Stan Barrett. He felt like he would come back and go to victory lane here. He didn't have to worry about a points championship, but it will not happen today. Rusty Wallace had also had the only driver who had a shot at the $38,000 Unical bonus as being the pole sitter. He makes the wide left-hand turn and says sayonara to Phoenix Raceway.
That means that he has blown the engine. Anything else, he would have went to the pit and they would have worked on the car. But he knows there's nothing they can do except load it on the truck, go home, put another engine, and go to Atlanta.
Now these two cars have pulled some 15 car lengths on Darrell Waltrip. There's a battle. There's Derek Cope in the car number 10. Moving to the inside of Rick Wilson. Right behind him is Ernie Irvin. Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Bodine.
Shepherd, of course, was involved in that accident, but apparently not much damage done to his motorcraft Ford. So he's right back in this thing. And he is in the lead lap.
Ernie Irvin trying to move to the inside of Rick Wilson's dinner bell Oldsmobile. Now Shepherd tries to get in the opening that Irvin has made for him on the bottom of the racetrack.
There you see Rick Wilson. People would say, why don't Rick just move over and let these guys go by? The problem is there's about 25 of them. And if you move over and let them all go by, that means you're going to lose a half lap. All he can do is just race with these guys.
Yeah, you're going to be another lap down before long.
Exactly.
Ernie Irvin, this is his favorite race car. It's a car he won with at Bristol, Tennessee on ESPN. He said they used this car to finish second at Michigan and Darlington earlier in the year. Mast in the car number 98, the Travis Carter prepared Banquet Chevrolet to get her to move in on Mark Martin. That would be a battle for the 5th spot. Make that the 4th spot. Martin is 4th and Mast is 5th. We mentioned at the top of the show that for Mark Martin to clinch it here today, he would have to lead the most laps and win it. And of course, Earnhardt would have to finish 40th. Now with 6 cars out of the race, there's no way, of course, that Earnhardt can finish far enough back that Martin will have a tremendously comfortable lead going into Atlanta. So it will not be settled today. It will all go down to the wire on November 18th.
Hutch Strickland just made an unscheduled pit stop. He had a flat tire on the Ray Bestis Buick. It was just announced here yesterday that he would be the driver of that Bobby Allison Motorsports car again in 1991.
They've had some good runs this year, too.
There's Bill Wilbur, the tire specialist on the Miller Genuine Draft car. He's trying to find some tires for Darrell Waltrip's crew. That's the Tide guys trying to buy some tires because the 27 guy is gone.
Now what Waltrip's doing is they're leaning over looking at the circumference on the side of the tires. Remember, these are bias ply tires. Stagger is so important. You just don't want to go buy a bunch of tires. You got to buy the right size tire. That's where you get that set up, and they're all marked there in small yellow markings along where it says Goodyear. And so that fellow researching there for Darrell Waltrip. Dale Earnhardt is showing the way. Here he is the lead car in the Goodwrench Chevrolet. 85 laps complete at Phoenix International Raceway. Can Earnhardt hang on and close the point lead? Well, lots of laps left. Don't go away. Back in the Valley of Sun here for the NASCAR Checker 500-kilometer event. Dale Earnhardt showing the way. Schrader, Waltrip, Rick Mast, and Mark Martin the top 5 after 88 of 312 laps. Today's Speed World coverage of the NASCAR Checker 500 is brought to you by Oldsmobile. Stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. By Xerox Antifreeze Coolant. The temperature never drops below Xerox. And by Levi's 505 and 5016. There's the man they're chasing, the Goodwrench Chevrolet driver, Dale Earnhardt. 8 wins in 1990, trying to make it win number 9.
But I tell you, there's a guy back there that's doing some serious chasing. That's Darrell Waltrip. We saw Earnhardt go down in the corner on the bottom of the racetrack. He's running the bottom all the way around. Meanwhile, the 3rd place car, Darrell Waltrip, is running the top groove and is gaining on Earnhardt.
Darrell, show you the interval there between Earnhardt. Of course, Schrader right behind him, and here comes Waltrip, the big Tide colors, starting to march in on his teammate, Kenny Schrader.
And watch Darrell. We're going to let the camera watch Darrell how much higher he's going to go through this corner than Earnhardt. Whoop, way up there next to the wall.
Here's the streak that's in danger. Darrell Waltrip still winless in 1990. He has won at least 1 race per year for the past 15 years. Likewise, Terry Labonte has won every year since 1983, the last 7 years in a row, and Waltrip is coming.
Darrell needs the money because he's going to be an owner next year. Ooh, there's some little contact between the Jeff Bodine Bud Ford and the Kodak Film Oldsmobile of Ernie Irvin.
Bodine on the inside, Irvin up high. These 2 cars battling for the 8th and 9th spot.
And you mentioned Darrell needing the money. That's because he's going to own his own team.
Yeah, that's right. He's got people to pay and bills to pay. Of course, Western Auto's money will probably help do that, but nevertheless, a little more won't hurt anything.
Already mentioned that Jeff Hammond and many of the current Tide crew will go with Darrell Waltrip next year in that Western Auto Chevrolet for 1991.
Jeff Bodine is able to make the pass on Ernie.
And when we talked to Mark Martin during the caution, he said the track was getting very slippery. And I think it's the slickest, Benny, that it's been since they've been here this week. This is the warmest day they've had. On Friday, when they qualified, a cold front came through and it got cold. Back when they were qualifying, it perhaps dropped into the low 60s or maybe even into the high 50s. Yesterday was about 70 degrees, and the hotter temperature will make the track slicker.
There's our leader, Dale Earnhardt, and he will come up into turn 3 and 4. We will back off our cameras and give you what we call our field snapshot here as he exits turn 4, and we will show you the relationship between the leader and the rest of the car still running here in the field. You pick out your favorite driver and car as they come down the front straightaway.
Ooh, driver almost hitting the wall. Rick Maz coming off the corner.
Well, you can see them sliding as they come off of that turn. It is very slick. That's Richard Petty. He's a lap down.
Dale Jarrett, the Citgo car, coming by. And our leader, Dale Earnhardt, coming back out of turn 4. 30.9 seconds.
That's 116.5 miles an hour.
And they qualified at 28.90, so they have slowed down 2 seconds from qualifying because of the heat in the tires.
And the slicker racetrack.
Okay, Earnhardt is a leader, but the battle that's really starting to heat up is just behind him, where Kenny Schrader and fellow Hendrick teammate Darrell Waltrip, just coming into your picture beneath the Goodyear Bridge, will begin to do battle for second spot. Now, last week, the 17 car and the 5 car and the 18 car, 3 of the 4 Hendricks cars came out here to test. Everyone expected Waltrip to run pretty well today. Why didn't Schrader come? Well, the 25 team had used up all 7 of their test dates, and they were ineligible to test for the remainder of the year.
That's a rule that NASCAR mandated in the middle of the season, that a team could only test at a Winston Cup racetrack. Oh, look at Darrell Waltrip just drive up on the inside of Schrader. But NASCAR mandated that a team could only test 7 days at a NASCAR Winston Cup racetrack. And Schrader had used all 7 of those days. He couldn't test. But, you know, Ricky Rudd was talking about that they were sharing information now. So I would guess that what Ricky Rudd and Greg Sachs found out, they shared with Ken Schrader. And that's one reason he's running as well today as he is.
Darrell Waltrip showing he's gaining on it. 3 top 10 finishes the last 3 times out.
He is definitely faster through the corners, fellas. And, you know, it looks like when he needs to run low, he can do that, too.
He needs to get by Schrader quickly if he's going to have any thoughts of running down Earnhardt, because Earnhardt is pulling away from these guys.
There's Dale Earnhardt in the Goodrich Chevrolet. We'll show you the interval between Earnhardt and that battle back for second place. Widen out there in turn 3, and there is second place again. Waltrip has a run, has a shot on the inside, trying to hug it, but Schrader has the preferred groove on this flat racetrack on the outside. Just can't quite muscle enough to get off the corner to get underneath Kenny Schrader.
He just got momentum. Coming off these corners, the higher the groove, the more momentum you can get off the corners. It's a longer distance, but momentum means a great deal going down the straightaway on such a short, flat racetrack.
Tremendous green flag racing here in the Checker 500. We're just past the 4th way mark here. About 50 laps shy of the halfway mark as Dale Earnhardt goes around Mike Chase. A record crowd on hand. Stay with us. Lots of laps to come your way.
ESPN and Quaker State present Racing Tough, the new video that lets you answer the question, do you know what it takes to be a winner? Benny Parsons and Brett Bodine take you on auto racing's toughest road test, challenging your knowledge of what drivers, builders, and crews do to get the most from their cars. It's a fun way to become an auto racing expert. Order Racing Tough for only $19.95 by calling 1-800-472-1700. That's 1-800-472-1700. We'll send you the toughest road test you'll ever take. Racing Tough.
Family.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, Dale Earnhardt showing the way. And remember, if he's leading at lap 156, you need to know it. Why don't you call and register now for the Ride Card Halfway Challenge competition, 1-900-246-0101. You must be 18 years of age or older to participate. Remember, the call is 95 cents. And again, you call and register, and if they'll call you back within an hour of the halfway point, if you know who is leading on lap 156, you win a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. And where's Mark Martin, guys?
Tell you what, Mark Martin is struggling, and I mean struggling big time.
Let's check in the Martin pits and see exactly what the problem is. Rick DeBrule is standing by with team manager Steve Meal. Rick?
Mark was running so hard early on. Now he seems to be hanging back. What's the problem?
Yeah, we got a little bit loose. The sun's got real high and the racetrack's got real hot. We're a little bit too loose to pass anybody. It's hard enough to pass that it is. So Mark's just going to drive the car as straight as he can. We got a pit in about 25 or 30 laps. We'll try to tighten them up. But you really don't want to take a chance at this place because it's just so darn hard to pass.
We saw that one time when he tried to pass Ken Schrader coming off the second corner, and Schrader almost spun out. And if he had spun, he'd been right in front of Mark, and obviously he would have been in the crash as well.
Well, Darrell Waltrip tried it low for a while and decided he would just to use his high groove that had got him up there, moves right around Kenny Schrader and takes over the second position.
Well, he made it look easy.
He did make it look easy. Tell you what, Bob Jenkins is on the telephone talking to our producer before the show, and he picked Darrell Waltrip to win, and I said, you know, Jenkins got a brain problem, but you know something, Bob? You may be right.
He's looking very good.
Of course, he's still got a brain problem, but he might be right here.
I thought he had a back problem.
Darrell Waltrip running second. He's gone by Kenny Schrader and now pulling away from Schrader. Some 6 or 7 car lengths in about a lap and a half. Waltrip making that high groove work to his advantage. There's Dale Earnhardt, the Goodrich Chevrolet. We will try to back out here and just show you what the interval is as Darrell Waltrip now starting to close a little bit. Earnhardt coming out of turn 3 beneath the Goodyear Bridge, and there is DW.
It's a little less than 3 seconds, fellas, time-wise. We'll see as we run a few laps, just see if he's able to, now that he's moved away from Schrader, if he is able to pick up anything on Dale Earnhardt.
And watch Kenny Schrader. When Darrell Waltrip passed him and Darrell moved back up to his favorite groove on top of the racetrack, Schrader went right up there with him. And he's running the same groove now that Darrell is running.
Well, let's put the clock on Dale Earnhardt and see what kind of interval we're getting here as Earnhardt comes out of turn 4, and we will head for the start-finish line. The interval between his car and Darrell Waltrip. Here comes the tied Chevrolet, 2.9 seconds.
I told you it's a little bit under 3 seconds.
Good, Ben.
I don't think that producer wants to take your word for it, Ned.
Okay.
And we are told we're going to do it one more time, and we'll see indeed if Darrell Waltrip is going to be able to close on Earnhardt. Coming out of 4, up to 145 miles an hour, 150, then back in the brakes. Here comes, well,
lost a little.
He lost a little bit.
Now, he had some traffic there.
Yeah, lost a 1/10 of a second. And certainly traffic can make a great deal of difference, but well, no, Darrell didn't run on no traffic that time, did he?
No, he didn't.
So,
as a matter of fact, Darrell ran down on the bottom of the racetrack that time. That tells me that the crew tells him that he's losing time to Dale Earnhardt. Look around on the racetrack. Try to find a better place. Darrell moved down. He's trying to pick up, find a better groove, a faster way around this racetrack.
And you got to wonder what Kurt Shelmerdine and Richard Childress have said to Earnhardt, too. They told him that Waltrip has already gone around Schrader and may be coming.
There's Bill Sedgwick. Art Krebs' boy, John Krebs in the 99. Rick Wilson.
For Sedgwick and Krebs are Winston West drivers. Sedgwick in the battle for the championship.
Right, he has a slim 1-point lead over Bill Schmidt. There is Sedgwick in the car number 76, 35 years of age, currently being shown in 22nd position. Sedgwick has only run here once before. Now, he had a pretty good lead in the past 2 Winston West races, and he had engine trouble, and that lead dissipated considerably. Just to the right of your screen, the man who's chasing him, 3-time Winston West Series champion, Bill Schmidt, in the car number 73. And there is Schmidt in a Chevrolet Lumina. They're running right together, much like our Winston Cup battle. They're running within a spot or 2 of each other. Schmidt currently being shown in 23rd position. Now, these guys will battle in relation to each other with regard to the Winston West Championship. And moments ago, Dale Earnhardt had a very close call. Let's take a look.
Earnhardt's down on the inside of one of the Winston West cars, and the Winston West car doesn't know he's there. Comes down, and there is some contact. The guy almost bends out.
That's Mark Reed in the car number 72, and similar to what happened to Rusty Wallace here a year ago. You know, Earnhardt dove down there, he saw some opening, but he has not raced with these guys enough to know what moves they're going to make when they go into the turn.
Mark Reed has very little experience even in Winston West competition. He's doing a pretty good job here, but that could have been very costly for Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt seems to have everything going his way here in the Checker 500. We asked Dale Earnhardt earlier, what do you have to do in these last two races to win the title? How about it, Dale?
Ain't nothing to do, but just go out there and race him hard and try to, you know, win the race, do what you can to win, gain all the points you can. If I can get close before we go into Atlanta, I think we can put the pressure on him in Atlanta, but, you know, we're going to have to race hard to do that.
Indeed, he would like to be close in this. Ned and Benny showed you at the top of the show, Earnhardt's record in Atlanta is nothing short of awesome.
Oh, he's phenomenal in Atlanta. He runs a line in Atlanta that's incredible.
Got him a pretty good line here today, too.
Yes, yes.
Although now, according to my unofficial stopwatch, the last time around, Darrell Waltrip had closed just a little bit. He had closed about 2 3/4 seconds. You know, 3 seconds before. Now he'll probably lose a little bit more to Darrell. Earnhardt will as he passes Hut Strickland.
Now, Earnhardt and a lot of drivers were very happy to get back on the bias ply tires this week. Earnhardt was saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. A la Gomer Pyle here, saying that he likes to have these bias ply tires. They're a little more predictable, and he can work with them on the stagger. Right now, he's staggering everybody else here in competition. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, green flag racing action. Dale Earnhardt just having lapped the car of Dale Jarrett and now moves beneath the king. 7-time Winston Cup champion Richard Petty. Earnhardt has had the lead since lap 70. Now he is led. We are lap 121 now, so he certainly has led the last 51 laps. Rusty Wallace led the first 50, so Earnhardt on his way getting that lap leader bonus.
Well, he now only has 15 cars in the lead lap. Dale Jarrett was running 16th, so now there are just 15 cars in the lead lap. Now they'll have pit stops coming up, guys, within the next 8 to 10 laps. And caution is out. They'll get those pit stops here pretty quickly.
And Richard Petty's going to spin almost getting the wreck up in turn 4.
Right in front of Darrell Waltrip as Petty is spun and he gets the car down into the groove.
There's a car under the bridge up there in the shadows. We can't see who that car is in turn 4.
One car has come to rest up there. Appears to be the car number 23, Mike Chase. And there's Richard Petty as he spun to avoid the car that had come to rest in the outside groove. Up there is Mike Chase's car, the Rookie of the Year in the Winston West Tour for 1990. And we have caution here for the 3rd time today at Phoenix International Raceway. Timely for the pit stops. They were expecting to have green flag pit stops in the next 8 or 10 laps. There is Earnhardt, and he will be making an entry on the pit road very soon. Let's check into the pits with John Kernan.
The Earnhardt crew awaiting. As you said, they would be pitting in just a few laps, probably within 10 laps. Well, Richard Childers and the crew are awaiting Dale's arrival on pit road. A 4-tire change. As you see the gaggle of cars heading down pit road. Now Cecil Gordon holds out the signboard awaiting Dale's arrival, the leader of the race. It will be a 4-tire change once again. They're going to go with scuffed tires. Now the reason being they think they are more consistent than going with the sticker tires. The sticker tires fall off just a little bit too fast for their liking. Now the left side lugs are coming off. 2 cans of gasoline going on. Chocolate Myers already having the second one in. It is full of gas now. Left side's going on. You see Darrell Waltrip on the bottom of your screen. Earnhardt on the top of your screen. Left side tires going on for Waltrip. Earnhardt is off the jack and away.
And a great job by Jeff Hammond and the Tide crew getting Darrell Waltrip down. There's the Tide Chevrolet moving back down. Mark Martin's cars a little bit squirrely, getting back into the gears, coming back on that entry road. And we'll show you again just moments ago what happened to Richard Petty.
He's on the outside of Dale Earnhardt, and he sees the car spun up there, and he and Dale Jarrett get together because Dale Jarrett is trying to race Dale Earnhardt back to the line to get a lap back. He and Richard Petty gets together. Richard Petty spins. The spotter had told Dale Jarrett there was going to be a caution, so he hustled in there trying to beat Earnhardt back. And look at this. Gary Collins is pushing the tire around the racetrack. That's down on pit road. Now, Gary, back up a little bit. Now drive around it. There you go.
You're not
a good guy.
Now, you're not allowed to carry a spare with you. You can only have 4 on the car. And of course, that obviously a miscue in the pits as Gary Collins and someone in the crew had a car being pushed out. We're under caution for the 3rd time today. Lots of laps left. Stay with us.
It is one of
Back in the Sonoran Desert here in what they call the Valley of the Sun, where Phoenix International Raceway is located for the 3rd annual Checker 500. Caution being shown once again. That's the Chevrolet safety car, 1991 Lumina, just leading a Chevrolet Goodwrench sponsored car by Dale Earnhardt. Now, moments ago, Earnhardt received a consultation in the pits. Why? We'll show you.
Well, he's going to come in the pits, but he passes the pace car. He really and truly hits pit road too fast. And see what an advantage he got on Darrell Walter, who's a 2nd place car. That's 20 car length advantage he gained because he dove in too quick. And NASCAR said, hey, Dale, your crew is good enough. You don't have to have those advantages. Yo, finish. There he is.
Yeah, the Intimidator. And certainly,
you know, it's amazing to me how Richard Childress and that crew, Kirk Shumpty and all those guys, pit stop in and pit stop out, continually put that car out each and every time. You know, you'd think they were human, that they'd make a mistake occasionally. It just doesn't happen.
Well, they did at Charlotte.
That's right. Well,
yeah, they made a little mistake.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
They did. They left the lug nuts on.
well, I've heard of running the wheels off the car, but that's ridiculous. What's happened to him in Charlotte? A little miscommunication. We're under caution still here at Phoenix International Raceway. Dale Earnhardt has been leading since lap 70. He's still showing the way. Lots of laps left. Don't go away. Lap 128, we're just getting back the green flag racing action here at Phoenix International Raceway. And Darrell Waltrip now a car length separating him and leader Dale Earnhardt. Kenny Schrader a length and a half back. Richard Petty now on the inside. He is the lap car ever he spun up there trying to avoid the parked car of Mike Chase. And Petty showing some muscle out of turn 4.
Well, Richard's 2 laps down, but just can't quite get back up there to get back one of those laps.
Now we'll find out if Darrell Waltrip has the muscle to run that 3 car down and pass him.
All having fresh rubber. They made those pit stops. Great pit stop there by the Goodrich crew, and likewise the Tide crew and the Kodiak efforts for Kenny Schrader.
Excuse me, Jerry, that last caution flag had to be a break for Mark Martin because he was struggling mightily. They were able to make some chassis adjustments, I'm sure, and there he is. We won't be able to tell for 10 or 15 laps if the changes they made helped or not, but we'll find. Oh, and Jeff Bodine goes right by him, ducked inside. John Kernan, you're down in the pits. What did they do to Mark Martin's car?
Well, Benny, they put 4 sticker tires on. They closed the stagger, and Steve Field, to quote, "We jacked a bunch of wedge into it."
Well, that'll help to cure a loose problem.
Might make it push just a little bit. He's on the outside now. Around the outside of Rick Mast. Mast in the banquet. Sponsored Chevrolet moves beneath Martin, and now Rudd is behind him. The Levi Garrett colors. There's Kowicki back behind them in the Xerox car. Our latest Winston Cup winner in Rockingham just a couple of weeks ago.
Now Mark Martin's hung on the outside on all those guys with those fresh tires. Looks like all of them's going to drive by.
Yeah, he might be pushing. They might have overdid it just a little bit, but as they run a while, that tightening it up should help him a little bit. But right now, it does look like it's pushing just a little bit as he goes into turns, and certainly it doesn't help him being up on the high side of the track.
That's got to be a welcome change for Mark Martin. He has been fighting that steering wheel with a loose race car. Looked like he was swatting flies inside the cockpit of that car, back and forth in the corners. But
there Ricky Rudd goes by. And that's going to leave the position open for Alan Kowicki in the Xerox Ford. This is turn 3 at PIR, Phoenix International Raceway. And at this point on the racetrack, they run about 115 miles an hour, accelerating off the corner. Kowicki and Martin almost get together now. 140 miles an hour right there as he breaks to go in the corner, down to 125 in between 1 and 2.
Martin now trying to move inside of the Purelator car, the Chevrolet of Derek Cope.
Derek currently being shown in the 16th position. He is 1 lap down.
Those cars going in turn 3, Jerry, about 130 miles per hour down to about 115 between the middle of 3 and 4.
Looks like Mark's car beginning to come in a little bit now. He can get the car turned down now on the inside of the racetrack, and if he can get underneath Cope, then we'll know his tires are maybe beginning to work a little bit. He tries to hug the bottom groove, and yes, he stays right on that yellow line. He will move beneath Cope, and there's Elliott back behind him keeping an eye, and also Brett Bodine, the Quaker State driver.
Tires, the inside of the racetrack is the preferred line, but as the tires get hot and the racetrack getting slicker and slicker, the cars will move up. We're watching the race now from inside Brett Bodine's Quaker State Buick, an in-car camera, looking at the back of Bill Elliott's Tours Ford. In turn 3.
Brett has made an impressive comeback after getting involved in a spin a little while ago. He stayed in the lead lap and then got a caution to catch up to the back of the field, and then has worked his way back up into the top 10 now.
That's the car Bill Elliott used to win with up in Dover, Delaware. Banjo Matthews prepared front steer car that they sort of have rearranged a little bit to get the car to work real well on intermediate sized tracks as well as the short tracks. Right of your screen you see there is Elliott and Bodine, and now Darrell Waltrip beginning to move in a little bit on Dale Earnhardt and put the pressure on.
It really is. Look at Darrell running a little bit higher, but he brings the car down right on the bottom. Car just a tick loose. He's going to have to move up the racetrack in another 10 or 15 laps. It looks the car getting a little bit loose off the corner.
Earnhardt is not going to give him anything on the inside of the track. That's pretty obvious. He hugs the bottom groove as Waltrip now moves up to the outside. I guess he's saying if you're going to pass me, DW, you're going to have to do it the hard way on the outside.
Well, you see that now, that was a classic. That's what makes an experienced race car driver. Darrell got the car a little bit loose coming off the second corner, and going in turn 3 immediately went to the top just to make sure that nothing was wrong, that everything was in control. Now he felt it going through that corner and said, I'm okay. He's back on the bottom of the racetrack.
Dale Earnhardt has yet to get a top 5 finish in 2 races here at Phoenix, whereas Darrell Waltrip a year ago finished 4th here in the Tide Chevrolet.
Well, it's been a while since we've seen Darrell Waltrip up there battling for the lead. Of course, he had that injury back in July at Daytona.
Well, we talked about dodging bullets here at Phoenix International Raceway, and moments ago, Mark Martin had to dodge one. Looked right in front of him, and they're beating and banging.
Well, Rick Mast almost gets together with Richard Petty, gets the car a little bit out of shape. Martin dove to the inside so he'd have an avenue of escape in case they did lose control of the cars.
Got to be alert here all afternoon. Action everywhere, and it's a pretty tight racetrack. We said it's a flat racetrack there. It's banked 11 degrees in turns 1 and 2 and 9 degrees up in turns 3 and 4. So not a lot of banking to catch a car that will begin to break loose on you.
Earnhardt starting to pull away from Darrell Waltrip. Darrell just a few laps ago on the back bumper, now starting to pull away by about 10 or 15 car lengths.
Ricky Rudd now trying to move inside of Rick Mast.
They're battling for the 6th position. And there's Mark Martin right behind them. You see that battle going on up there. 2 Chevrolets.
And 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th there. Of course, the 6th spot right now belongs to Rick Mast. 7th is Rudd. 8th would be Mark Martin. And 9th would be Alan Kowicki, the Xerox car.
You know, we talked about testing days just a few minutes ago, and NASCAR's mandate you can only have 7 days. Well, Mark Martin has 3 days left. He's going to use all 3 of those days in Atlanta this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he's going down and test.
And Dale Earnhardt will be there on Wednesday and Thursday, so they're going to get a good look at what each other may have.
But we know what Earnhardt's got down there. He has got an awesome race car. Mark Martin in the next 3 days, or 3 days this week, has got to find something to neutralize that.
Rick Mast sliding up a little bit now out of turn 2, and Rudd gets an opening. Mast awfully strong in the Banquet Chevrolet, but it looks like Rudd will take the Waddell Wilson car door to door with him down in turn 3. Kowicki now closing in on Mark Martin. We'll try it on the inside. Then he thinks better of it, coming out of forward, falls back in single file. 5 cars right together. Now we'll go back inside and give you a shot of what Brett Bodine is seeing. He's seeing a big Xerox sign in front of him. That's the Alan Kawicki car. Brett trying to be very patient. You heard the crew chief, you heard Steve Mill a little bit ago talking about how hard it is to pass here. Very flat racetrack, and Martin now just trying to get underneath Rick Mast. Can't quite get the RPMs up to pull him out of turn 4.
The unfortunate thing about it, Jerry, about all Brett Bodine can see is the back of that Xerox Ford. As close as he is, there is no visibility in front of him to amount to anything. He has to wait on Alan Kawicki to tell him that something is wrong up in front of them. So he really can't see that much. He almost got sideways there.
Drivers talking about how slippery it was up in turns 3 and 4. You can see it yourself as you saw Kawicki begin to slip a little bit. Even up in front of Kawicki, they were slipping and sliding.
Yeah, the racetrack is slick. They are dancing around.
And our leader, Dale Earnhardt, there he is. Working around one of the Winston West drivers. That's John Krebs from Roseville, California. Dale Earnhardt trying to pick up as many points as possible. He might do it. We're closing in on the halfway mark. Stay with us.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring, Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them.
We are just 6 laps shy of the halfway point, and Dale Earnhardt is our leader in the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Still have time to call the 1-900-246-0101 and register for possibly being called back. If you would know who's leading on lap 156, you could win a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. And of course, the driver who's leading at the halfway point will take home $10,000 courtesy of the Right Guard Halfway Challenge.
We see Dale Earnhardt, who is second in the Winston Cup point standing, leading this race and has led every lap since lap 50 or something. Well on his way to victory. And Mark Martin's got to pick things up because he is in trouble. There's Mark Martin. We saw him before he went to break racing with Alan Kawicki, with the banquet car of Rick Mast. Look, there's the way up in front is the banquet cars. Kawicki has went by. And now Brett Bodine is pressing Mark Martin to get by. So they made some changes in the car. They haven't fixed it yet.
No, they haven't. The car's still bobbling a little bit, and Brett Bodine being very patient. Well, he was being patient, and now he pulls up just beside him. The race is now. Earnhardt would draw to within 3 points, and it would be a dead even heat. And now Bodine said, I'm not waiting anymore. We'll
if
see.
the race was stand right now, then Earnhardt would be in front by 1 point.
Now that Brett Bodine has passed him, that's correct, DP. So Martin really struggling with the handle on that car.
Here's Alan Kawicki and Rick Mast in the car number 98. Kawicki trying to move to the inside. He gets the nose of that Thunderbird down on the inside. Looks like he might be able to make the pass, but Mast has to run off the high side of the track. Kawicki should get him going into turn 3.
They are battling for 7th position. I mentioned that Ricky Rudd is currently being shown in the 6th spot, just in front of him by 10 or 12 car lengths. There is Kawicki. There is Rudd. You just got a glimpse of his car. Kawicki will take the 7th spot away from Rick Mast. Alan Kawicki has got a brand new race car here. Actually, it's the kind of car that Bill Elliott has been so successful with. He went up to Banjo Matthews' shop and said, hey, build me one of those. And they sort of cut the front snout off, and it's one of those new Banjo front-steered cars that Bill Elliott won with at Dover and ran so well with in the short tracks, even including last week at Rockingham when he finished 2nd. So Alan said, I want to try that. And apparently, it's working pretty well for him.
Yep, the halfway point coming up here pretty quickly, fellas. Earnhardt is out front. Good shape to pick up that prize, Jerry.
This will be for $10,000 this time by. Should get the halfway point. Doyle Ford getting ready to raise those cross flags for Dale Earnhardt. Lap 156 as Earnhardt comes out of turn 4, and he will collect $10,000 courtesy of the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. Now, if you've called in and you get called back after you've registered your number, you know that Dale Earnhardt was leading at the halfway point. You will get a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE.
And as Earnhardt came by and got the $10,000 and the halfway marker, the Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile came in for an unscheduled pit stop to change the right side tires on his car. Sterling was already 1 lap down as a result of being involved in a spin earlier in the race. So now he'll find himself 2 laps down. Here's a battle. Bill Elliott trying to hold off Ernie Irvan, but Ernie gets the inside groove.
A lot of folks from the West Coast here to watch their favorite son, Ernie Irvan, who's from Salinas, California. Actually, they say it's Modesto, but he actually grew up in Salinas. West Coast driver, and he holds it right on the bottom of the track. Elliott slips up a little bit. Ernie can't quite hold the throttle out getting out of turn 2, and Elliott pulls back in front.
Must be very slick coming off of that turn. They just can't get a bite. He'll drive back in deep again going into turn 3. Elliott goes high, and here comes Ernie down on the inside. His car's sticking pretty good, at least going through the turn, but when he starts to accelerate off the turn, he just can't get the traction.
Ernie Irvan, who grew up and cut his teeth on the short tracks, the bull rings here in California.
Ricky Rudd spins down the back straightaway. And don't go up on the racetrack. Don't go on the racetrack. Ricky right in front of Mark Martin.
Wow, Mark had slowed down. Wow. It's hard to control it, though, once you get down on that grass.
What a great job he did. He kept his foot on the brakes. If he had ever released the brakes, he would have shot right across the racetrack in front of oncoming traffic. Ricky, you did beautifully.
Now try there is Ricky Rudd.
He's trying to pull out now. Earnhardt is coming up. The pace car will be in the picture here in just a moment. He's trying to stay in the lead lap. And but he can't get the car turned. Maybe he's going to. Here comes the pace car behind. Yeah, no wonder he couldn't make the turn. But he did stay in the lead lap. He's out in front of the pace car, but I think he'll have to, well, I don't know if he's even going to get that thing back here or not.
Well, he's trying. He's manhandling that steering wheel. He would like to be able to get around and get to the start-finish line as the pace car. Let's keep an eye on Earnhardt and see if that discussion that NASCAR had with him in the pits a minute ago about passing the pace car. Now, that's Elmo Langley driving the white safety car. Earnhardt must stay behind the safety car prior to the entry of pit road. They have slowed him down. Meanwhile, Rudd is going to make his way on the pit road.
Yeah, he stayed back there that time.
Let's go to the pits and John Curtis.
Goodrich crew awaiting the arrival of Dale Earnhardt. Now, we've talked about scuff tires. They've taken on scuff tires the last couple of times. Well, this time, Richard Childress has decided to go with sticker tires. They've got the halfway money. They've been dominating so far. They want to see if that makes that big a difference. Just a little bit of experimenting going on in mid-race. The crew going to work on the right side. Earnhardt getting a cold drink. And let's go up pit road to Darrell Waltrip's pit and Rick and roll.
Darrell Waltrip is in at this point. They've already changed the right side tires. They're now going ahead and working on the left side tires, putting on all 4 around. They're not making any chassis adjustments and putting the fuel in, taking care of business, and getting him back out on the track.
Earnhardt is back on the track first. And a great pit stop by Tim Brewer and the Budweiser crew, the Junior Johnson car for Jeff Bodine. He's the second car back down pit road. He is right behind Dale Earnhardt. Remember that Budweiser crew, their car has finished second the past 2 years out here. It was a Chevrolet 2 years ago with Terry Labonte aboard. Of course, in this Ford, the same car they had for today, last year finishing second.
Well, here's the tail end of Ricky Rudd. He had already spun around. He got down on the grass on the inside. Doesn't have a great deal of control of the car at this point. He comes back up on the racetrack, but as Benny says, he keeps those brakes locked. And look at this car coming on the inside.
That's Brett Bodine. Let's take a look inside Brett Bodine and get a view from his viewpoint now. He did a tremendous job to avoid Ricky Rudd coming up out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Is this what you see, Benny? Nothing?
That's what you see is nothing. And then all of a sudden there's Rudd. He's still seeing him, and he thinks he's going straight across the racetrack. Brett does, so he just turns left to go down through the grass, which really and truly was the most sensible thing to do. I saw the
Brett Bodine has dodged some bullets. Let's take a look at Mark Martin's pit stop as Steve Meal and Robin Pemberton the crew. Let's see how he exits the pits. He's trying to get out. Whoa! Just about gets tagged, and it's very close quarters down there, but it puts him in the top 5.
It was a good pit stop, very good pit stop. He beat Kenny Schrader out and almost beat Darrell Waltrip out.
We're under caution here for the 4th time today, just past the halfway point, and the fans are enjoying this capacity crowd of 75,000 plus. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Still under caution here at Phoenix International Raceway. Checker 500-kilometer event. 500 kilometers, that's 312 miles, 312 laps on this 1 mile oval. Dale Earnhardt is our leader. There's Mark Martin. They had a great pit stop. Remember, a pit stop ago, John Kernan told us that they had put a lot of wedge in the car. John, what did they do this time?
Well, they went the opposite way, Jerry. They took a couple rounds of wedge out. It wasn't turning like they wanted to in the corners, so they wanted to free it up just a little bit so he could get a little more speed through the corners, and it would go through the corners better.
Looks like they may have put a little tape on that windshield on the inside. We'll take a look at Mark Martin's Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance. Ned?
Well, it took him 15.5 seconds for the driver, 22.5 seconds for the crew, which makes a total of 38 seconds.
Now, folks, if you were looking at some of these before, there's Earnhardt at 14.2, the crew 22.6, 36.8. If you'd looked some of those before at 13, the driver at 13.5 seconds. The reason being Martin was back in the pack. There was 8 or 10 cars in front of him that had to stop at their pit stop at their pit stalls along the way down pit road. He had to wait for those cars to slow down and move out of the way to continue on down pit road. That's why he was a couple of seconds slower than those other cars.
So you're at the mercy of the traffic in front of you when they have the caution flag stops. You just can't pass them on pit road, or else you'll come in and have a little discussion with the NASCAR official for 3 or 4 laps. Getting set to go back, green flag racing. Sterling Marlin is one of the lap cars and awfully strong on the inside, but it's Earnhardt who will lead him down with the green flag.
Wow, they're getting 2 and 3 abreast in a couple of places back there.
Remember the great pit stop by Tim Brewer and the Budweiser crew. That's put Jeff Bodine in the hunt. Bodine now a couple of car lengths back. He will get his shot at Earnhardt.
And Schrader passed Martin on the outside down in 1 and 2, made it 3 abreast up on the outside. A bold move on Ken Schrader's part.
If anybody will make a bold move, it'll be Ken Schrader.
You got that right.
There's the front 2 cars. Earnhardt in the Chevrolet, the Ford, the Budweiser colors of Jeff Bodine.
We haven't seen a whole lot of him today, and all of a sudden, with that great pit stop they made, here he is in 2nd place. Maybe that Ford has a little more than we thought.
Well, Bodine has talked all year long about the great crew he's had and the tremendous pit stops that they've given him, Tim Brewer and the guys, and certainly that's proven here today. He was being shown in about 7th or 8th spot, but by virtue of that pit stop, he is right on Earnhardt's bumper.
But I saw a puff of smoke on the Bodine car when he got back on the gas down in the corner. I don't know what that means. If there's anything wrong with the car, we'll just have to keep watching.
Boy, they're battling there 3 wide.
This ain't gonna work, guys.
Well,
thank you.
Sterling's backed off just a little bit, and Mark Martin was right behind there and said, "Please, guys, don't do that kind of thing." Sterling Marlin backed out there, and there's Schrader right in the middle of that. Boy, he don't mind sticking the nose of that Chevrolet wherever it might have the chance to go in.
Great racing, Schrader and Waltrip. Of course, Sterling Marlin, who lost a lap early in that accident, has had a strong car today. Mark Martin out working the inside of him. Just minutes ago, guys, it just doesn't work this way.
No, it really doesn't. Watch Schrader jump in the middle of Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. And both Darrell starts to come off the corner, and Sterling Marlin, thank goodness, backed up just a little bit. And Mark Martin said, "Oh, my Lord," because look, there's a wall inside, there's a wall outside. There's nowhere for Mark to go.
Yeah, he didn't want that kind of situation.
You know, we're in Phoenix International Race. This racetrack is known for Indy cars. And I think we all ought to say hello to an old Indy car driver and stock car driver, A.J. Foyt. He's home now, and I know he's watching today. So, A.J., see you in Daytona, buddy.
He was the driver who won the first ever race run here, 1964, a 100-mile IndyCar race, and the old 55-year-old Texan certainly getting a little cabin fever. See you back in Daytona, A.J. There's Morgan Shepherd in the Motorcraft Ford. Tremendous effort on Morgan Shepherd's part. Now, he started lap 15. He was running 23rd, 18th, up to 7th at lap 110, and now he's running 3rd. Remember, we told you at the top of the show, Greg and Bud Moore told me a couple of days ago that Shepherd felt very comfortable. They were going to have a great effort today. Shepherd's favorite short track car, the one he ran so well with at Martinsville early in the year. And now he begins to close it a little bit and put some pressure on Jeff Bodine.
He started back in 30th position, so he has had a very impressive run here this afternoon. So you got a Chevrolet out front, a couple of Fords in 2nd, a Chevrolet in 4th place, and a Chevrolet in 5th place. Of course, Dale Earnhardt leading, Jeff Bodine 2nd, Morgan Shepherd 3rd, 4th is Kenny Schrader, Darrell Waltrip. Running in the 5th place, Mark Martin is 6th, Bill Elliott 7th, Rick Mast 8th, and in 9th place is Alan Kowicki. Brett Bodine is 10th. And there are 14 cars on the lead lap. 11th is Davey Allison, 12th is Greg Sachs, 13th Ernie Irvin, and Terry Labonte, the last car on the lead lap, in 14th position.
And now Ernie Irvin has gone around Greg Sachs, and will begin to work over on the lap car of Rick Wilson. Ernie Irvin in the car number 4. Slipping and sliding, but hanging on. Ernie Irvin now trying to move down inside of Dave Marcus. Now Marcus has a lot for stake too. We're talking about winning a Winston Cup championship. Marcus currently sitting 20th in the points standings. That's the last paid position for the NASCAR Winston Cup points. There is Dave Marcus, currently in 20th spot, and that position pays $22,000 when they go to New York on December 7th at the Waldorf Astoria.
Well, that's a lot of money for anybody, but especially for a guy like Dave Marcus, who doesn't have the big buck sponsorship that many of these teams have. Of course, Mike Miller, the Big Apple markets, Big Apple markets people have certainly been a godsend for Dave this year.
And Dave told me that they're going to be back again next year. I talked to Dave down in the pits, and he said that Mike Miller has enjoyed his year in Winston Cup race and wants to come back next year. So welcome back, Mike. That's good.
Tremendous courage by Dave Marcus after that accident at Daytona in July to be able to get back in that car and race at Pocono just a few weeks later. And he really was in a lot of pain, but he realized his whole operation depended on him being back in the race car. There's Ernie Irvin in the Kodak Films Oldsmobile. Ernie Irvin cut his teeth on the short tracks here. Ernie, some say this track is like a dirt track. Does it fit your driving style? Remind you of California.
These tracks like this, you can drive it in low and end up next by the wall and still keep on going fast, and that's what kind of like a dirt track is. And you know, that's why I'm hoping that myself and Earnhardt may have a little bit of advantage here, but you know, neither one of us have won a race here yet, so I guess we're just going to have to turn the tables this week.
Well, he's been slipping and sliding out there, but his best 1990 Speedway finish, second in Michigan and Darlington in this same race car. He loves this race car, and some drivers just pick a car they really like Morgan Shepherd. This is his favorite race car, the Mike Laughlin front steer car they have there, and it's working awfully well for him.
Well, Jerry, you can build 2 race cars or 3 or 4 or how many ever. As we watch Shepherd try to get the advantage on Jeff Bodine, but they'll never come out alike. One of them will come out and be better than the others, and the driver can immediately feel it. And evidently, Morgan Shepherd's feeling it right now.
Indeed he is. And that's exactly what Greg Moore told me. He said, Morgan Shepherd loves this car. You can't fool him. You take a different car to the track, say, that's your favorite car. And he said, no way. Now watch Kenny Schrader. He's beginning to make a move. Schrader back in 4th spot. We're under green flag racing conditions here past the halfway point of the Checker 500 at Phoenix International Raceway. Dale Earnhardt has been showing the way since lap 50. Can he hang on? Stay with us. We'll be back after this. .181 laps are in the books here at Phoenix International Raceway. 312 comprise the Checker 500. Dale Earnhardt coming off a couple of poor showings the past few weeks at Rockingham and Charlotte, really making it up here. 14 cars on the lead lap, gentlemen, and of course Earnhardt is picking them off one by one.
There's Ricky Rudd running right behind Dale Earnhardt. He lost 19 laps as he came in and repaired the damage to the front end of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, but he's running good now, but unfortunately he's too far behind to be a factor in this race.
Again, Rudd had spun coming out of turn 2, and they had to fix the front end there. There's the battle back there for 3rd spot. Of course, Jeff Bodine, the Budweiser Ford, in 3rd. Kenny Schrader in 4th. Right behind him, coming on hard, is Darrell Waltrip in the Tide Chevrolet.
Bunch of smoke out of the back of that 25 car that time. I don't know if that was tire smoke or some smoke from the car itself. We'll have to check it the next time around and see, but there was some down in turn 1.
Now he's going to try it on the high side. He's been trying to pass Jeff Bodine on the low side. He gets a good run off of that turn, but not quite good enough.
Kenny Schrader saying, well, that's how Waltrip got me a little bit ago. He went around the outside.
I didn't see smoke that time, so maybe it was just tire smoke the last time I saw on Schrader's car.
Here he comes up on the outside. Boy, he had some power coming off of that turn.
He really did.
Schrader jumps on the throttle big time and has a half a car length advantage, but he's up on the outside now in turns 3 and 4. Can he hold on and make it stick? He gets back in the throttle, and with that horsepower, well, yes, he will. Pulling by a car length here at the start-finish line.
Now Waltrip says, hey, he did that. Let's see if I can. But Bodine hasn't given up on that third place yet. Now I think it's all over as far as Schrader being by.
Well, one driver who's done a great deal of that just behind Waltrip, you'll see coming into your picture in a momentarily, is Mark Martin, the current Winston Cup point leader. He is back there watching the battle. There is Schrader. And you see Mark Martin coming into the picture there to the left of your screen. There is Schrader, Bodine, Waltrip. They head for turn 1. And the Folgers Ford.
That car may be running, the Folgers Ford may be running as well now as it has all day versus the competition.
I agree. I think they've made adjustments on it and have improved it.
That's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Martin currently being shown in 6th spot, 5 positions separating him from our leader, Earnhardt. Chevrolet Ford is Bodine still hugging the bottom of the racetrack. He seems to be maybe holding Waltrip up a little bit. Darrell is trying to keep his car down on the inside.
He is holding Darrell up a little bit, but Darrell Waltrip was running the high groove earlier on. Now he goes back up to the high groove trying to get by Schrader. And there we see that's the Winston West Championship. Bill Sedgwick and Bill Smith. Bill Smith in the 73 Bank of California.
Remember, Schmidt has won it 3 times, including this past year. They are in 18th and 19th position. They're having their own battle for the Winston West title. It's the final race of the year. They don't get to go to Atlanta. This is all the marbles for these 2 guys.
Now with Smith in front, he would be the point leader at the race would end right now.
Right.
He would win the championship.
1 point separating.
Darrell Waltrip gets by the Jeff Bodine automobile, takes over 4th spot.
Earnhardt still leads. Morgan Shepherd 2nd, and Denny Schrader 3rd. Waltrip now 4th. Jeff Bodine back to 5th.
And Bill Sedgwick now trying to move back inside of the veteran Schmidt. Sedgwick at 35 years of age. Schmidt at 54. Schmidt says no way. Jumps back in the throttle. And currently being shown in 18th position. Sedgwick in 19th spot. Now trying to get inside out of turn 2.
1 point separates these 2 starting the race. 1 point. And there is 3 points difference in this position.
Now, Bill Sedgwick has 4 wins and 8 starts this year on the Winston West competition. Schmidt, surprisingly, hasn't won in Winston West competition. He was on his way to a win up at Washington early in the year, Monroe, Washington, when he tangled with Bill Elliott, who happened to be running one of the Winston West races that weekend. Right now, if Schmidt could hang on, he would become the 1990 Winston West champion, but a little bit of smoke out of the rear of his car. Possibly tire smoke?
Could be.
And fellas, this battle to these guys is just as important as the battles that we've been watching all day among the regular Winston Cup drivers.
Speaking of which, here is the man who is in the chase for the championship, but everyone else is chasing him here today. Dale Earnhardt is our leader. Where is the man who he is battling for the championship? There he is, Mark Martin, currently being shown in the 6th position. Just about a straightaway separation between Earnhardt, our leader, and there is Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin in 5th and 6th spot.
Fellas, Earnhardt has led 142 of 192 laps, so he has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps today.
Battle between Ernie Irvan and Bill Elliott here. Actually, Chevrolet and Ford. Irvan moving to the inside of Elliott.
Seems like we saw this race about 50 laps ago and it looked exactly the same.
They've been racing together quite a bit today.
Remember Bill Elliott, the defending champion of the Checker 500, won this race a year ago.
Remember, he was not much of a factor during the race. I mean, he ran along like he's been doing today, staying up there in the top 10, certainly on the lead lap. And then all of a sudden, near the end of the race, after Rusty Wallace had his problems, he made a good pit stop, made some chassis adjustments on that Ford, and there he was out front and went on to win it.
I talked to Ernie Elliott about that. We were on the same plane flying out here, and it seemed like, just like you said, late in the race, Ernie Elliott, and they made a call. They changed the tires. made a chassis adjustment, and just like what Mark Martin did at North Wilkesboro, they hit the combination and boom, to the front they went.
Well, here's the battle. Mark Martin trying to assert himself in front of Jeff Bodine. That's fourth place. That he's. I got Jeff in fifth place, but I wonder if I missed somewhere along the way. Dale Earnhardt's still leading, but did Morgan Shepherd make a pit stop or something? Because they've taken him off of the scoreboard here, but
no, he's still out there.
He's still out there, so they just missed him. So that is fifth place that Martin and Jeff Bodine are battling for in heavy traffic.
3 abreast. Come on, somebody back up. Back up. There you go. Ooh. Man, you don't want to go 3 abreast in these corners.
I'm sure Jack Roush's heart starting to beat again after he was standing and watching that. There is Schrader and Waltrip. Waltrip now being shown as the third place car. Schrader is fourth. Sliding up a little bit higher is Schrader. No surprise at all to see Ken Schrader running well here. Remember, that's the car he set on the pole here last year, qualifying at 124.5 miles an hour. Of course, Darrell Waltrip still looking for that first win of 1990. We showed you the streak a little bit ago. He has won at least one race a year for the past 15 years. He is thus winless in 1990. Dale Earnhardt is our leader here at 197 laps. We approach the 200 lap mark at the Checker 500 at Phoenix International Raceway. Earnhardt having a great day here, hoping to close it on Mark Martin. Don't go away. We got more when we come back.
Pronto Auto Parts. From
Speed ahead.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, you haven't missed a thing. Dale Earnhardt is leading the way here. Lap 200 being shown in the books. 312 comprise the Checker 500, 500-kilometer event. Earnhardt, our leader. Morgan Shepherd showing in second position. Darrell Waltrip is third. Kenny Schrader fourth. Jeff Bodine fifth. And Mark Martin is sixth. And there
is Ernie Irvan moving up on Mark Martin. Ernie Irvan running in the seventh position. He'd like to move into sixth. There's Jeff Bodine, who is fifth, and the Budweiser Ford, number 11.
Heard Ernie talking about this. Reminds him of some of the dirt tracks he cut his teeth on in and around Modesto and Salinas, California. As now Martin goes very high in turn one, and Irvan has the opening, but can he hold him down the backstretch?
He has the preferred line going into turn 3 on the bottom, but we'll see. Is Mark Martin going to race him? There's nobody behind Ernie. Mark really needs to let him go and go on.
If this were the last 5 laps, he would need to race him and hold him off. But they still have one more pit stop to make. So, of course, he doesn't want to get too far behind in case this thing should go green the rest of the way.
I believe Mark Martin's going to make him earn it. Ernie Irvan now still on the inside now. Lap car in front of him. They squeeze.
Oh, no, boy.
3 abreast.
Going into turn 3. Jimmy Means down there in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac gives them plenty of room. He gets as low on the racetrack as he could. Pretty good piece of driving by everybody there, and a lot of restraint as well.
I'm telling you, wow, how in the world can these guys keep going in these flat corners 3 abreast and make it?
Now there's Jeff Purvis right in front of Ernie Irvan. What will Irvan do? He'll have to back out, and as Martin makes the move by, he will follow Martin single file around the lap car of Jeff Purvis. Plastic coat Chevrolet.
We saw Ernie just a few laps ago racing with Bill Elliott. He now has about a half straightaway on the Elliott. Obviously has the Kodak Film Chevrolet running pretty good.
Well, he's really working on Martin. He wants to pass him on the inside. He looked to the outside there for just a moment. There, a little bit loose. Martin's car got a little loose off the turn. And here comes Irvan on the inside.
And Ernie Irvan makes the pass, and that would be for the 6th place position. Let's take a look at our Western Auto race recap. Leader Dale Earnhardt has led 150 of the 200 laps. 4 caution flags for 29 laps. There are 14 cars on the lead lap. The average speed, we have been slowed by caution 4 times. It's 97.243 miles per hour. Lap leaders, Rusty Wallace led the first 50 laps starting from the pole, and it's been all Dale Earnhardt since then. Out of the race, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Hillen, Dick Trickle, and Kyle Petty involved in that first caution. Rusty Wallace with the blown engine, and Mike Chase some wall contact up in turns 3 and 4. Our Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings, Robin Pemberton, showing 6 wins. He currently leads in the points. Andy Petrie, the Harry Gant crew chief. Then comes Mike Beam from Bill Elliott, Tim Brewer from Jeff Bodine's crew, and Danny Glad from the Alan Kowicki team.
Look at Earnhardt's car still hugging that inside. Hey, they have that Goodwrench Chevrolet set up to perfection here today. And he's driving it accordingly.
Dale Earnhardt is the man they're trying to catch here as the laps begin to wind down a little bit at Phoenix International Raceway. Everyone watching the Intimidator at his best. Don't go away.
To be
the foothills of the Estrella Mountains, a picturesque setting for Phoenix International Raceway inside of today's NASCAR checkered 500-kilometer race from Phoenix, Arizona. Today's Speedwell coverage of the NASCAR checker 500-kilometer race brought to you by Purelator, the world's largest filter company. By Kodacolor Gold Film, show your true colors. And by Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. And there is what they call Survey Mountain, or Monument Mountain. Some 10 to 15,000 fans have paid $10 a piece to sit up there. And that mountain just off of turn 4. How it got its name? It was part of the Gadsden purchase back in the 1800s. At the very top of that mountain where that horse is standing up there, there is a survey point, a marker point that marks the convergence of the Salt and Gila rivers. And that's where every single part is surveyed in the state of Arizona.
I'm impressed.
I am impressed, Jerry. That was good.
And our leader surveying the field pretty well here this afternoon, Dale Earnhardt. If the race would end now, well, the points battle would be quite a bit different.
Yes, Earnhardt would only be 15 behind. He came into this race 45 behind, so he would pick up 30 points.
15 points going to Atlanta. Boy, that'd be classic down there.
We'll talk about Ultra Crunch Time then 2 weeks from now, and we'll have that race for you on November 18th at 12:30 live. And our good buddy Bob Jenkins, who's recovering from illness up in Noblesville, Indiana, will be back with us to carry the lap-by-lap racing action. We'll show you our field summary. Car number 72. That's Mark Reed out of Bakersfield, California. Sun Valley Oil Chevrolet, one of the Winston West campaigners. There's Mark. He's still running here in the field.
There's still 14 cars on the lead lap, but one of those cars, as we see, there's Morgan Shepherd going by. Of course, he is running in second place. One of those cars is dropping off the pace a little bit, and that's Brett Bodine. Apparently has lost a cylinder.
Here is Chuck Bell, the 36-year-old current Busch Grand National Series champion. He's driving the Kellogg's car that's prepared by Tex Powell.
Then comes Ricky Rudd. Ricky is 19 laps down after having spun on the backstretch and did some damage to the front end of that car. So
Darrell Waltrip, the Tide Chevrolet, currently running third in today's race. And not too far behind him, about 10 car lengths behind him, is Kim Schrader in the Kodiak Chevrolet. There's Kenny coming off turn 4 of the Kodiak Chevrolet.
Good look at Kenny Schrader in the Kodiak Chevrolet. Then comes the car number 12. That would be the Hut Strickland car. The Ray Vestas Buick, the Bobby Allison Racing Team. We mentioned that Hut will be back with that team again next year. Ernie Irvin, the Kodak Film Chevrolet, currently being shown in the 5th spot. Ernie Irvin. And the next car being shown, the Crown Petroleum Oldsmobile, at car number 20. Chad Little driving the car here. They had never run here before, and he is currently in 19th spot. And the rumor is that they might have Steve Grissom in that car at Atlanta Raceway. And what a great reward that would be for a tremendous young Busch Grand National Series driver if he get a chance to drive a potent Winston Cup car like this car owned by Dick Moroso.
Well, I'd heard that rumor too, but also one of their crew members told me that Jimmy Hensley would be in the car, and there's trouble up in turn 4.
Troy Beebe has spun.
And the boy did it right in front of the leader.
He gets the car righted and gets it back in gear. Waving the flag now for the 5th time today. Caution being shown. Troy Beebe, who had that spectacular practice crash up in Watkins Glen, making his first Winston Cup start. Good to see Troy back. He had a fractured pelvis and a severe concussion, and he has come back and run some Southwest Tour events and some Winston West events and making his way back into Winston Cup competition. He is one of the future superstars in this division. Some of the current superstars right there on your screen. That's, of course, Morgan Shepherd. You got to give a call to Shepherd, to Bud Moore and Greg Moore and all the crew there who worked so hard for that Motorcraft Ford. And, of course, Dale Earnhardt is the leader.
The Bud Moore crew has a chance now to make that great 4-tire pit stop and put Morgan back in front. Here they come.
It's going to get interesting here in the pits. Let's go down to John Kernan. They're standing by in the leader's pit.
Dale Earnhardt leads the parade of drivers coming down pit road. He pulls the Goodrich Chevrolet to a stop. They will go to work on the right side of the car. You see Morgan Shepherd on the top of your screen. Our second place car is sitting way down pit road. Dale Earnhardt on the bottom of your screen. They're coming around for the right side tires, or left side tires, I should say. Also, likewise, left side tires on Morgan Shepherd's car. The Goodrich crew working very, very fast. Shepherd is down, coming down pit road, but so is Dale Earnhardt, and he will beat him out of the pits by virtue of his position on pit road.
And Mark Martin in, getting left side tires, and they're getting that car finished. Had a little bit of trouble apparently on the left rear tire. You see him now boasting Martin out just in front of Bill Elliott. You saw a classic example, gentlemen, of what pit position will do for you. Even though Bud Moore's crew, Harold Stott and the guys did a tremendous job changing 4 tires on Morgan Shepherd's car. They actually beat the Earnhardt crew off the jack, but Earnhardt's position putting down toward turn 1 made the difference.
Well, Morgan Shepherd was able to stop first and start his pit stop before Dale Earnhardt is one reason he's able to get the jack down. The pit stops were about the same, but as you said, Earnhardt's hitting down near turn 1. They let the jack down and he drives across the line.
Dale Earnhardt back where he was just a moment ago, showing the way here in the Checker 500-kilometer event. 219 laps complete. It's Shepherd, Schrader, Irvin, and Bud. Back to green flag racing action. You saw Rusty Wallace was the point leader a year ago, and he lost some ground in this race. It looks like Mark Martin might lose a little ground today because Earnhardt seems to have the strong hand.
Look at Earnhardt jump out to about a 10-car length lead on Morgan Shepherd just in a half lap. And Morgan Shepherd has his hands full of Kenny Schrader in the 25 car.
And right there is Ernie Irvin in the car number 4 as well. All of those drivers were able to dispense of the lap cars who were allowed to come up and make a 2-abreast start. But
now Schrader trying to sneak to the inside up there, up in turn 3. Morgan Shepherd gives him a little bit of racing room. Schrader can't quite. Now he gets the car down on the inside of the track.
Now with new tires on, he's able to get a little more traction, which he didn't get quite enough that time to make the pass, but they will be able to get a little more traction down on the inside of the track.
Ernie Irvin looks very strong. Tony Glover, Sheldon Rutt Pittman prepared car. Rutt Pittman, of course, the engine builder for the Morgan McClure racing team, has put some potent motors underneath Ernie Irvin this year.
And Ernie Irvin has quietly eased himself into 4th spot. He's not been heard from. He kind of like Bill Elliott last year. He's not been heard of until here with about 100 laps to go. In 4th spot, trying to pass the 3rd and 2nd.
Well, it was about 80 laps to go, Benny, when the green flag came back out. And I think according to the information that we're getting from the pit, that most of the drivers will be able to make it the rest of the way as far as fuel is concerned, excepting maybe Darrell Waltrip, who normally is the gas mileage king. He's not getting good gas mileage today. Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine not getting too good a gas mileage, according to our spotters down in the pit. So we'll see how it goes if it does go the rest of the way.
Taking a look at Earnhardt now, who's pulled about 6 car lengths on Morgan Shepherd. Then Schrader, then Ernie Irvin. And back behind Irvin is Jeff Bodine.
Earnhardt did that the first lap, and he's able to maintain. He's been able to maintain that 6-10 car length lead that he was able to get out on that first half lap.
Front 4 cars right there. Earnhardt again. And the battle 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is now Irvin. Can't quite get it hooked up enough to get underneath. Schrader coming out of turn 4 and will try to get in going into 1. There's Mark Martin in the Folgers Sport. Been chasing the setup and the chassis adjustments on that car all afternoon. Ernie Irvin now has to move inside of Kenny Schrader in the backstretch. He should have the advantage in turn 3.
We'll drive it deep in the turn. Of course, Schrader drove his deep up on the outside as well. But Ernie seems to have the advantage coming off the turn. He does get traction and makes the pass.
We mentioned that Ernie Irvin has never won here at Phoenix International Raceway. Well, Kenny Schrader has won here 7 times in the Copper Classic. They run here in February. Remember, Mark Martin and the crew have been chasing the setup all afternoon. Let's see exactly where they are. They get in the car a little closer, John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, like you say, they are chasing it. They weren't satisfied with it, so they put a couple of rounds of wedge in it, and then they opened up the stagger just a little bit. And I asked Steve, I said, well, is that going to fix the problem? And he said, well, we'll know in about 15 to 20 laps, but right now they're still waiting to see. And Mark is still running in the top 5, top 6, so they're satisfied with that for now.
Well, I don't know if they're satisfied because they're going to go to Atlanta with just a few point lead if they were to stay there, but stagger. They've got to keep, because the racetrack changes. As it gets hotter or it gets cooler, the racetrack changes. And they've got to change the stagger to try to change the setup of the car. And that's one thing nice about the radial tires. Some people don't like them. As Jerry mentioned, Dale Earnhardt had problems with the radial tires that's rocking him, but yet if they get to all radial tires, at least it'll be constant. We'll not be able to change the stagger. As here, they're just fighting all day long. It'll drive you nuts. John Kernan, what are they doing down there with the stagger?
Well, Benny, they opened it up. What I was going to comment on is with Mark Martin, when you talked earlier about they got the 3 test days. Well, Jack Roush says they're taking 3 different cars, 1 car for each day, see which one works the best. That's the one that they will come back with. So they're going to come into Atlanta very well prepared.
And when Earnhardt found out that they were going to possibly, that Martin would be testing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Atlanta, although he'll be there later in the week, Earnhardt was supposed to go deer hunting this week, but he said he'd go build him a little stand there in Atlanta on Tuesday outside of turn 2 so you can just watch what Martin's doing in their test section. And there's Earnhardt, our leader, but a lot of drivers haven't fared real well today. Out of race, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Hillin involved in an early crash along with Dick Trickle, who had a blown engine. Kyle Petty involved in an early crash. Rusty Wallace had an engine erupt. Mike Chase, some contact with the wall. And Gary Collins, one of the Winston West campaigners, behind the wall getting his car worked on.
And one car that was behind the wall for a long time, or in the garage area, was Harry Gant. Jerry, he is back out on the racetrack now and up in the point standings as well, so he wants to get as many points as he can today.
Harry Gant is 17th in the point standings, and he was only about 70 points behind Michael Waltrip. And with Michael having to park it because of the crash, Harry wants to try to take advantage and possibly move up a spot or 2. Everybody taking advantage of every single lap they can here. Hey, remember the guy that caught the bullet in his teeth? Danny, alias Chocolate Myers. He is the gas man for Dale Earnhardt. Well, pretty rugged customer there watching, and got to be pretty pleased with what his driver is doing right now. 233 laps complete. Can Earnhardt hang on? We'll find out when we come back.
What could this off-road vehicle possibly have in common with this off-road vehicle? The same quality filter protection you can give your car from Purelator, the world's largest filter company.
Anybody thought about dynamite?
One Tough Motor Oil announces One Tough Guarantee. Ask your participating service center about Quaker State's Tough Lubrication Guarantee. 250,000 miles or 10 years. Register your new car absolutely free at a participating service center. Use only Quaker State. Have oil and filter changed as directed at a service center, and if any lubricated engine part suffers an oil-related breakdown, you're covered. Quaker State guarantees it in writing. The Big Q is One Tough Motor Oil.
Back, green flag racing action here at the NASCAR Checkers 500. Dale Earnhardt is our leader. Morgan Shepherd is second. Irvin, Schrader, and Bodine run out the top 5. 6 through 10, Martin, Alan Kowicki, Darrell Waltrip. 9th is Bill Elliott, and 10th is Rick Mass. 236 of 312 laps complete. And again, the NFL on ESPN coming your way at 8 p.m. November 11th. The Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers. We got a great one to start off our final 8 games for you. The 49ers and the Cowboys. The 49ers just getting by the Green Bay Packers today by 4 points. That'll be on Sunday, November 11th at 8 p.m. First of 8 great games as the scramble for our playoff positions intensifies. The NFL back on ESPN.
Morgan Shepherd now beginning to close in a little bit, Jerry, on Dale Earnhardt as they move up on Phil Purvis in the Plasticoat Chevrolet. Earnhardt slips by on the outside, but that allows Shepherd to move in pretty close. Not too far behind the first and second place cars is Ernie Irvin. See that yellow car coming into the picture? Not long ago, we saw him move into the top 5, then up to 4th, and now he's up to 3rd and moving in on the leaders.
And Mark Martin, you see that he's been passed by the car number 17 of Darrell Waltrip, who ran so well early on. Now Waltrip seems to get his car hooked up a little bit. He's beginning to move in on Jeff Bodine, the Budweiser Ford.
There's Bodine running in the 5th position. Waltrip now 6th. Martin drops back to 7th.
Seems like the more laps that they run, the better that Darrell Waltrip is. The other car starts slowing down, and Darrell Waltrip, here he comes.
I think his car is set up pretty tight today, and maybe pushes a little bit when he has new tires on it, but as they run on, their cars get loose, and the racetrack sort of comes to him.
And Martin would dearly love to get around that 11 car and try to pick up a spot, and just about makes contact with Jeff Bodine coming off turn 4.
Boy, he is running him tight going into the turn. He backs off a little bit now.
Well, Martin would like to be able to pass as many as possible to win the Winston Cup Championship, but we've got one happy individual in Anaheim, California today, Raymond Peters. Congratulations, Raymond. You have won the Right Guard Halfway Challenge, brand new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. And again, Raymond Peters out of Anaheim, California, was called back and correctly knew that Dale Earnhardt was leading on lap 156, and he will get a brand new Pontiac 1990 version Pontiac SE.
Saw Rodney Combs go high off the second corner and try to get out of the way of these 2 cars that's racing for a spot, and here's Martin on the outside trying to take it away.
Well, unscheduled pit stop, fellas. This is definitely not a scheduled pit stop for Ernie Irvin. Let's go to the pits. Rick DeBoer.
Down here in Ernie Irvin's pit, word is that they've got a right front tire that was going down on. This is actually sort of good news, bad news, because they need to bring it in, change that, but they were worried they weren't going to be able to go the whole distance on the fuel anyway. So this gets that fuel stop out of the way, the one that we're going to have to make. At 12.5 seconds, and now they're back out on the track and can probably go the distance.
Great pit stop, but a tough break. It had to happen under the green flag conditions.
Now, fellas, the pits are different. You can see Ernie Irvin down going out of the pit. Unlike any other racetrack we see, it takes a while. That's flat coming out of there. He's coming back out on the track now, and he does get back out in front of Dale Earnhardt, so he stays in the lead lap, and with those new tires on, he should be able to stay out in front of Earnhardt.
Ernie Irvin, who was being shown as a 3rd place car, unscheduled pit stop, and the question mark is, will most of the drivers be able to make it the rest of the way? There's Earnhardt. Well, let's see if we can answer some of those questions. Can Earnhardt, does he just squeezes by? Oh, he just not patient at all. Earnhardt squeezing by. Can he make it the rest of the way on gas? Let's check in with John Kernan.
Well, we're going to check with Richard Childers. It's going to be very close getting him home all the way with that last fuel stop.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close for everybody. It's probably a couple of cars like to make it. We're going to just have to get a bigger lead on those other 2 cars we think it can make it and see where we can go from there.
What different did you do for this setup here? I mean, he is just really flying out there.
Well, we just, got a good setup on it,
one of those, kind of things.
Yeah. He didn't lie about it because he does have a good setup on it.
I'd say good is an understatement.
And he realizes that all the other teams tape these races, go home, and just hope that someone says something that they can catch.
Indeed. They have a designated tape viewer to see what was said during these races. Of course, and Dale Earnhardt having a great day here at Phoenix. Moving in on Harry Gant. Remember, Harry Gant had one of the stronger cars early on, and when the engine erupted in the Dick Trickle car, Gant got in the oil and tagged the outside wall in the backstretch. Spent a lot of time in the pit, as Ted mentioned a little bit ago. Back on the track trying to get some of those valuable Winston Cup points. Well, the question about Morgan Shepherd in the Motorcraft Ford. Greg Moore, who is the son of Bud Moore, and he and Darrell, his brother, are the engine builders for that car. And I guess Greg Moore should know if the car can make it on fuel. Let's check in with Rick DeBrule.
He's also the team manager. The question is, can he go the distance? Rick, I don't think so. We're only figuring right now about 3.8 miles a gallon. I believe we're going to be about 10 laps off. We need a caution to get some more fuel. I think the 11 make it. The 17 can make it. But I don't think us and Earnhardt can make it. Is this mileage about what you expected? Yeah, for out here it is. You usually get 3.8 to 4.1. So that's the way it goes.
Well, you know, he mentioned the 17 of Darrell Waltrip and the 11 car of Jeff Bodine. According to our people down in the pits who have been tracking the gas mileage of the cars here today, those were two that they thought would not make it, along with Davey Allison. So, of course, now Greg Moore doesn't have the same information that our people have down there, so it will be interesting to see.
Well, you know, Jeff Bodine was able to make it on fuel at Pocono. That's how he won at Pocono, was he got such great gas mileage up there. And notoriously, I mean, if I were going and talking to Tim Brewer, he's not the kind of guy you want to play poker with. I tell you that much. He's not going to give you much in the way of information because they keep it pretty tight.
Well, somebody's going to be able to make it. They're all going to gamble, and somebody's going to be able to make it. And that guy just may win the race.
Well, Ernie Irvin is certainly one driver that hopes that everybody else will have to stop him because he's already made the stop.
62 laps left here in the Checker 500-kilometer event as everyone trying to watch the race from the vantage point. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
It's ever so tough being ranked #1 and not being rank. Playing the game without getting gamey. What assists me is Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette with its maximum protection and aromatically airy scents. It's the essence of good gamesmanship. After all, when one is capable of home runs, why play foul? Right Guard Sports Stick, deodorant and antiperspirant. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
The one and only.
Nothing beats it.
The clean, the crisp, the cold. The king of beers.
Nothing beats the Bud. Nothing beats the king of beers. Nothing beats a Budweiser. Nothing beats a Bud.
Whose car is that?
A lot of cars in this town need parts from Parts Plus. Take a hint from your car. Go to Parts Plus for the quality name brand auto parts you need. Because Parts Plus sells name brand auto parts with quality you can rely on. The same quality name brands used by professional race car drivers. So the next time your car needs auto parts, come to Parts Plus.
We're America's family of auto parts stores. We're Parts Plus.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, the big question is fuel. Now, we've talked to Richard Chodos. He said they might be able to make it, but it's going to be very, very close. You just heard Greg Moore a minute ago, who is the engine builder for Morgan Shepherd, the second-place car, says they cannot make it. They will need at least one pit stop. And they can go probably within 10 laps of the finish, but they will have to have more fuel. Now the question mark. How about Jeff Hammond, who's the crew chief for the Tide Chevrolet of Darrell Waltrip? Can they make it? Well, let's check with Rick DeBrule. Rick?
I'm not sure Jeff even knows the answer to that. Jeff, at this point, do you think that Darrell can go the distance?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. We haven't been getting the fuel miles we wanted to today, but, you know, this late stage of the race, you know, we're going to let it all hang out. We'll run until she quits, and, you know, we have to come in. We'll just have to come in. But right now, we're gaining on the leaders, and everything's looking pretty good. We had a bad pit stop early on, put us way back, but Darrell's been driving his heart out, and he's really looking good here today. And, you know, maybe we just get us another caution and 4 more tires, and we'll have to worry about fuel, but have to wait and see.
On paper, does it work out?
Well, it all depends on how you figure. I'll let Stevie work on that. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't really want to say yes or no 100%. It's really, really tough.
Before we have to worry about those numbers, up the road, Mark Martin has the same concerns that John Kernan is there.
Steve Mill, can you go the rest of the way?
No, we need about 5 gallons. We can't make it. I don't know how many people can, and we've had to struggle all day to get where we're at. So I hope everybody has to pit just like we do. If they don't, you know, we'll end up 8th or 9th, I guess. But we're hoping everybody's in the same boat we are. We're getting better as it goes. We're going to run out of time, though.
Now, you say you struggle with that chassis setup today. The last changes you've made, have they helped it at all?
Yeah, we started out loose, and then we got him too tight, and now we're working back toward it. He's the best he's been right now. We're anxious to get a caution to get another lick at it. Also, even everybody up on fuel mileage, but that may not happen.
Well, there's the story from down here. They all would like to see that other caution so they can come in and get fuel without having to make the stop under green.
Well, based on that survey, we've got 1 maybe, 2 we can't do it, and 1 I'm not going to tell you.
Well, I tell you, fellas, I would put, if I were a gambling man, I'd put my money on the fact that Darrell Waltrip will be able to make it, even though we had information that he might not be able to. And heard what Jeff Hammond said.
You're exactly right. And the reason that Jeff Hammond did not want to speculate is because people monitor our broadcast. They have radio frequencies to monitor everyone around, and they don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
There is Alan Kulwicki, our latest winner in Winston Cup competition from Rockingham a couple of weeks ago. And right back there is the Budweiser 4 of Jeff Bodine.
Bodine running 6th, or has Kulwicki moved around him now?
Yeah, Kulwicki is 6th and Bodine is 7th.
Get around him, yeah. So it's now Kulwicki in 6th and Bodine in 7th.
And the Sterling Marlin is a lap car between Jeff Bodine and Rick Mast.
Matter of fact, Sterling is 2 laps down. He lost a lap early in a spin and then made an unscheduled pit stop for a flat tire, and that made him 2 laps down. That's where he has run the rest of the afternoon. There's Rick Mast coming into the picture. Rick currently running in the 8th place.
Great.
Vanford Rosenberg Chevrolet.
Great run for Rick Mast. An outstanding effort. He had a good qualifying effort in that car at Rockingham, and he will finish out the year for Travis Carter. Remember the run he had a year or so ago at Daytona in this car when he led laps down there? Would have been probably the premier upset in Winston Cup racing when he nearly won the Daytona 500 a couple of years ago.
Boy, Bodine getting passed again. His car just not working. Stand down on the inside of the racetrack. There goes Sterling Marlin by up on the outside. He is one driver they would love to see a caution, but he wouldn't want to cause it.
Jeff Bodine, when they change tires and he gets 4 fresh tires on, his car runs pretty good. But after 30 or 40 laps, he starts backing up just as he is right now.
Dale Earnhardt just going around.
Hey, Marcus.
Car number 71 of Marcus.
Got some other traffic in front of him there as well. There's the car number 2, which is being driven by Ted Musgrave and Dale Jarrett. Right up in front of him there. Jarrett currently running in the 16th position. And here's trouble. There's Jeff Purvis in the wall.
And the caution flag is out. The caution that everyone wanted has waved.
Well, a tough break for Jeff Purvis and, of course, car owner James Finch and Neil Bonnet. They were hoping for a good finish there with Purvis, but the caution waving now for the 6th time today. Lap 262. And all those people who were questioning the gas mileage, well, that goes away because they'll be able to come in and pit momentarily, put some fresh rubber on, and we'll make it a sprint race to the finish.
Made some nice drama there for a while, though, didn't it? Now it will not be a concern.
A lot of discussions now on the radios as to what they're going to do. I would imagine most of them would come in and go ahead and put 4 fresh tires on the car and fill it up with fuel. Caution for the 6th time today, and of course the Goodrich crew, Mark Martin's crew, the Motorcraft crew, Morgan Shepherd, everyone poised. There is Cecil Gordon on pit road with that pit board. Now positioning in the car, very important with the driver. Any little miscue in the pits could cost you. Now it could cost you a championship, much less a win here at Phoenix. Safety car now coming out of turn 4. Remember, they have to stay back there, and they do indeed. Here comes Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Morgan Shepherd, Walter, let's go to John Kernan in the leader's pits.
The Richard Childers crew awaiting Dale Earnhardt's arrival. They will go around to the right side. Earnhardt pulling in close to pit wall. They will go to work a 4-tire change, plus the gas, as we mentioned. Now this will give them the gas to finish out the race. Mark Martin is in. They go to work on the right side of his car. Through again, you see the fuel going into the car. And now the right sides are going back on. Morgan Shepherd is also in. Let's go up to Rick DeBrule.
You see Morgan Shepherd on his way out. They put 1 round of wedge in the car, changed 4 tires, put in that essential fuel, and he's back in this race.
And of course, Dale Earnhardt came out again. Shepard got his service finished first, but as a result of Earnhardt pitting down there, there's Mark Martin going out of the pits. Their pit stops were pretty equal between Morgan Shepard and Dale Earnhardt.
I think Harold Stott and the Motorcraft crew have to be given a hand. They've done a great job in changing tires. As you heard Rick DeBrule say, they added around a wedge in the car to try to tighten up just a little bit to give Shepard a little bit of a chance to stay with him these last 45 laps, 50 laps.
Loser in the round of pit stops was Darrell Waltrip. He was running third before the pit stops. He's now running sixth, if I'm not mistaken.
There's Mark Martin. He came out of the pits, and he is the fourth place car. Mark Martin in fourth. Dale Earnhardt in first. Zigzagging back and forth to make sure everything's working right. Getting ready for the restart. We got a few laps left. It's going to be interesting. Don't go away. We'll be back after this. Back at Phoenix International Raceway, quickly we'd like an update you on some of the drivers taken to the hospital earlier today. Bobby Hillin still being checked out for some neck injury. He is complaining of some neck pain. They are getting him x-rayed. We are told from Chuck Ryder that Michael Waltrip has a possible concussion. He may have to be spend the night in the hospital and currently undergoing a CAT scan, a CAT scan they call it, computerized axial tomography. That's basically a brain scan done by computers, and we will let you know more when we hear about Michael Waltrip and Bobby Hillin. Getting ready for the green flag back here at Phoenix International Raceway.
Ned, all the figuring went out the window.
Yep, as far as that gas mileage was concerned.
Watch Schrader. Look at Schrader go. Wow, Schrader pulls up on the inside of Morgan Shepard and takes that second spot away.
On these restarts, Schrader has been awfully strong just about every time, but he might have exerted a little bit of extra that time that we haven't seen today. But let's see what he can do with Earnhardt now.
Mark Martin showing a little bit of strength here as he moves in on the rear deck of Morgan Shepard. Martin in fourth place. It's getting down the crunch time. Time to get a little bit serious. 270 lap mark coming up here. It'll be a little over 42 laps to go as Martin, whoa! Drown just trying to skid by on the inside.
Trying so hard to get inside Morgan Shepard.
I don't think Shepard's car is working quite as good now as it did before, fellas. Certainly Martin's car is working better than it did before. And here's Alan Kowicki, 3 Fords there running together, trying to chase down those 2 Chevrolets out front.
That's Morgan Shepard, Motorcraft Ford, fellow Ford driver Mark Martin now being moved in on by Alan Kowicki in the Xerox Ford. First and second place battle up front. Schrader has now reeled in Earnhardt, who has been there all afternoon. Earnhardt has owned the lead.
And here is Jeff Bodine and the car number 4 of Ernie Irvin battling for position as they move around the Chuck Bound car number 97.
Well, that caution flag was the worst thing in the world could ever happen to Ernie Irvin because he was at the tail end of the lead cars and he has to work his way through. That's for back 4. About 10th spot.
Bill Elliott in the car number 9 going around Dave Marcus. That's Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser.
An example as to how bad the sun is. I move my hand up just a little bit and I'm already blocking my face. This is what all the teams have done. And this is something they do here differently than every place else. Before the car ever goes out, they go ahead and they tape the windshield quite a ways down. Some of the guys have taped it all the way down here. If you don't do that, that means later in this race, you may have to come in and make a pit stop because the driver simply cannot see. Some of the teams have actually painted the inside of the windshield just to act as sort of a massive sun visor.
And we'll go back inside. If you see on the top of the windshield that tape that they have put across there in that Quaker State Buick for Brett Bodine, so he would be able to shield some of the glare. Now, you saw how bad it was. You can imagine if it wasn't there, how bad it would be. Now, Schrader
taking a look on the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
Now, there Morgan Shepard. Again, his car is going much better than it was a few laps ago. And he has pulled back up on them and has pulled away a little bit from Mark Martin, who was trying to get by Shepard not too long ago.
Dale Earnhardt's going to be saying, why do we have to have that caution flag? I just had him covered, and now here comes Kenny Schrader.
Boy, Schrader is getting off that turn 4 so slow.
Well, Schrader sees Morgan Shepard and Mark Martin coming, and plus his spotters have told him they're coming in a hurry. He's going to try to run his car. Meanwhile, Earnhardt just simply cannot pull away like he could a little bit earlier. Well, what do they do to Kenny Schrader's car? They've obviously made some adjustment. The car is really hooked up. How about it, John Kernan?
Jerry, they didn't make a chassis adjustment. What they did is they changed the stagger. The car had gotten very loose, so they tightened it up by way of the stagger. Right now, Richard Broom has a smile on his face from ear to ear. He likes what he sees.
Richard Broom, the crew chief for Kenny Schrader, one of the most likable guys up and down pit road. There is Schrader. Last Winston Cup win coming at Charlotte, 1989, some 30 races ago. We mentioned that he has won here 7 times. He has won, of course, in the events here, the Copper Classic, 7 wins, 4 of them coming in a midget car and 3 coming in a championship dirt car, the Silver Crown Series.
13 cars still on the lead lap. Of course, there are Earnhardt, Schrader, Morgan Shepherd, Mark Martin in 4th, and 5th is Alan Kowicki. Darrell Waltrip is 6th. Rick Matt 7th, Bill Elliott 8th, Jeff Ledine 9th, Ernie Irvin 10th, Davey Allison 11th, Greg Sachs 12th, and in 13th is the car number 1 of Terry Labonte. 1 lap down in 14th is the Terry Cook car. Dale Jarrett is 15th, and Brett Ledine 16th. And then 2 laps down in 17th is the car number 94, as we see Schrader trying to make a move again, but Sterling Marlin is 17th. And 18th is Dave Marcus. Rick Wilson is 19th.
Bill Sedgwick is 20th, and Bill Smith is 21st. So that Winston West Championship, they're still running this 1 position apart.
Both of those cars 2 laps down. West Coast drive.
Apparently Morgan Shepherd's car beginning to come into its own a little bit here, as he's been able to hold the car a little bit and begin to reel in both Earnhardt and Schrader. See Mark Martin just behind Shepherd, about 3 or 4 car lengths, and behind him is Alan Kowicki. They headed to turn 1. They are the 4th and 5th place car. First, second, and third place on your screen. Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader, and of course the Motorcraft Ford is the crew watching anxiously, and Morgan Shepherd can possibly reel them in. Top 5, Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki. 280 laps and 312 complete. Just 32 laps left. Don't go away. It's going to get interesting.
At a time like this, do you really want to wait for a sale? At AutoZone, our Duralast starters start at just $29.95 every day. When your battery finally quits, are you really going to wait for a sale? At AutoZone, our 5-year battery is just $38.88 every day, so you never have to wait for a sale.
Heard from an old student. Remember Brian McKenna? Smart kid.
Good ball player. Great hands. Where's he going to college?
He's 9.
Too bad.
Studying aviation electronics.
But you said...
In the Navy. Then college.
The Navy College Fund in Montgomery, GI Bill. Over $25,000 for your college education.
You and the Navy.
Like I said, smart kid.
Full speed ahead.
1 point that's got to be foremost in these drivers' minds right now, particularly the 2 of them, Earnhardt and Martin. If the race ended right now, Earnhardt would be only 20 points back, headed into Atlanta for the Winston Cup finale and that $1 million postseason prize 2 weeks from today. Dale Earnhardt showing the way for making 5 car lengths over Schrader, of course. Here comes Morgan Shepherd. There is Mark Martin. They apparently have gotten that car sorted out pretty well. Let's check in the pits where our John Kernan is standing by with Steve Meal.
Steve Meal and the hardest working crew at the racetrack today. It looks like that last adjustment you made on that caution might have paid off.
Well, it's better, but, you know, we might be the hardest working. That's just because we're so far off when the race started. You know, we fought it all day. We're a little bit tight in the middle, a little bit loose off. We've been getting better in small increments. We haven't taken a big enough chunk out of it yet, so we're going to see what we got here till the end.
So you're not holding anything back right now?
No, it's not time to hold anything back. We hadn't held back all day. We just hadn't been right enough.
There you have it from Steve Meal. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they'd like another caution, maybe get it right and go for the win. Who knows, guys?
Mark Martin's best finish at Phoenix, a 3rd last year. He currently is being shown as the 4th place car.
I don't think they ought to get too greedy. I mean, if they could get out here with a 20-point lead, at least if they go to Atlanta and race Earnhardt, if they can finish 2nd, they'll win the championship.
The way Earnhardt's run today, if you can get away and still have a 20-point lead, I think he felt pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Morgan Shepherd, who's got to be feeling pretty good now because he's beginning to close in as Schrader shreds it real high. There's the Jim Bound, the Rod Osterlund, the car number 57 right in front of him. That's a lap car. And Morgan Shepherd will have to fall back in line behind Kenny Schrader. That's the battle for second spot. Now, we mentioned a little bit ago that Jack Roush and Bud Moore may have had a little conversation here in the pits. And, of course, Bud Moore, the owner for the Morgan Shepherd car. Rick DeBrule, what was the discussion about?
Hardly a confrontation. What happened was Jack Roush made one of those little unscheduled appearances down here, went up, whispered in Bud Moore's ear, and then walked away. Apparently, he was simply going up and saying, look, looks like our two guys may be battling for position. If we battle for position, can we keep it clean? And they were saying, you know, if it was their situation, they'd be going down and saying the exact same thing. It was just one of those little courtesy calls.
Right now, it's these two cars that are battling, of course, and I'm sure Morgan Shepherd would like to keep it as clean as Mark Martin would and both get a good finish here. Shepherd doing a tremendous job. They said they were going to be strong at the top of the day. Greg Moore and Bud Moore predicted the car would be awfully stout here, and indeed it is. Kenny Schrader holding the position right now on the Kodiak Chevrolet.
But Dale Earnhardt is pulling away from both of them as they battle for that second position. Shepherd trying to move up on the inside now.
Trouble in turn 4. Alan Kulwicki has spun. He loops the car around out of turn 4. The car's trying to avoid Kulwicki's car rolling down. And whoa, a good move by Ernie Irvin. Also another good move. That by Rick Mass in the Banquet Chevrolet. That will bring out the 7th caution flag of the day. They are racing back to the caution flag. Earnhardt up in turn 3. Schrader and
the question is now, there's 24 laps to go, going to be 23 when he come back. Will they pit?
Yeah.
Ed?
Yep, they'll pit.
I think so, too. I think everybody's going to hit pit road, and now those pit stops really become important because track position at this point means so much.
Well, now, we're eavesdropping a little bit on some of these radios, and we are hearing that possibly some of these guys...
Earnhardt said, I'm not going to pit. All that's doing is telling the other guys who's scanning he's trying to trick them. Earnhardt will hit pit road, I predict.
I believe he will too, Benny. Because even though he has a good set of tires on that car, has had most of the day, he was pulling away from the leader, but there they are out on pit road. They're certainly...
well, some of the best actors in the business are down there, and Cecil Gordon's certainly a good one, but he's holding the pit board. And see right up pit road, there's the Folgers man for Mark Martin as they're all standing out there with the pit boards and the drivers and crews. Well, what will they do? They're behind the pace car up out of turn 3 and 4. Will Earnhardt make the move? Remember, he told everyone who was listening, including a lot of fans with their scanners, he wouldn't pit. And indeed he doesn't.
He does not. That's a surprise. Always the one to go when they hit the line this time. So
that is a shock.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, some of them did come into the pits. In fact, 4 of those in the lead lap have come into the pits. Davey Allison, Alan Kulwicki.
We're looking at Jeff Bodine. Making a 4-tire stop, putting 4 sticker tires on.
And right behind him is Rick Mast, also coming in for just outside tires. Mast only got outside tires.
They're changing 4 on Bodine's cars. He's still in the pits. Dale Jarrett also in the pits. You see him cleaning the windshield on Alan Kulwicki. His car, the one that spun, it brought out the 7th caution flag of the afternoon. Remember, it's going to be green flag this time, so Bodine is hustling down pit road. Here's Kulwicki.
And here this red car coming out is Bill Smith. Remember, we're talking about the Western West Championship? Sedgwick did not pit, so Bill Smith chose to pit.
I think that was definitely a good move on his part. Might win the championship.
Just might do it. Might be a strategy move from the veteran Bill Schmidt, who's won it 3 times. Dale Earnhardt the leader, Schrader in 2nd spot. Morgan Shepherd is 3rd, then Mark Martin getting back to green flag racing action. 22 laps remain.
Earnhardt once again gets that great start. And our 2nd place car, Kenny Schrader, is hung up on the outside of Sterling Marlin, finally clears him, but Earnhardt now has a 10-car length advantage.
And the car between them, Derek Coates, who is running in the 14th position, 1 lap down, is between he and Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt.
Remember the clean racing we heard about, the comments, the discussion between Jack Roush and Bud Moore. the car owners, respectively, for the car number 6 of Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd. Is now Shepherd trying to move by on the inside of the car number 94. That is Sterling Marlin. Marlin's been strong in the afternoon, but lost a lap early on by virtue of that accident up in turns 3 and 4 that he was involved in, or actually a victim of. Morgan Shepherd pulls the car hard left out of turn 4 down to the inside. There is Shepherd moving beneath the Sunoco car. Behind him, Mark Martin. Then comes Darrell Waltrip. A little bit of contact between Waltrip and Bill Elliott now in turn 1, just trying to get the car slowed down a little bit to make the turn.
But you know, fellas, talking about those pit stops, when Earnhardt didn't come into the pits, the rest of them couldn't afford to. So, to give up the track position.
At the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars there, you see everyone scattering out now. Car number 98, we understand, scraped the wall. That's why a lot of cars have made the move to the inside here on the front stretch. There is Rick Mast. Remember the Budweiser car, Jeff Bodine. Whoa, a little agricultural racing down on the grass. He gathers it back in. A great job by Bodine. He came in and changed all 4 tires.
Jeff Bodine got forced on the grass with those cars on the back. Here we watch the cars coming off the corner, and Rick Mast is behind and goes up, scrapes the wall. All the rest of these cars tries to avoid him.
And they were very fortunate to do so.
Great camera work, guys, capturing that.
A spin down in turn 1.
Trouble in turn 1, admitting, and of course that is Chuck Bound. It looks like
another car is spinning. The 72 car backs in the wall down in the corner.
2 cars having spun down there in turns 1 and 2. Caution flag being shown for the 8th time today.
Well, I guess if they didn't stop the last time, I don't guess they'll stop this time. Yes.
That was
who knows.
Caution being shown for the 8th time today for the spin of Mark Reed and Chuck Bound. We'll find out who's going to pit when we come back.
What could this off-road vehicle possibly have in common with this off-road vehicle? The same quality filter protection you can give your car from Purolator, the world's largest filter company.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. If you don't know that about antifreeze now, this is where you're likely to learn it. Because when your antifreeze fails, it usually fails here, when your car has been sitting idle, when it's very dark and very deserted and very cold. Oh, thank heavens, you did remember Xerex antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
It's one last chance to make a mark on the 1990 season. U.S. Open champion Hale Irwin leads the field at the Isuzu Kapalua International, Wednesday through Friday, live on ESPN.
You're watching Mark Martin, who just made a pit stop here under the caution flag, and right behind him, Ernie Irvin also pitted for a 4-tire change. You might wonder why Mark Martin would pit as they go by one of the cars that spun. That was Chuck Bound over there. Well, when the caution came out and all the cars were spinning over in turn 2, Martin, who was running in 4th spot, actually got passed by both Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott. Now, he would be back in 6th position, so I guess why not come in and get some fresh rubber on the car?
Yeah, I guess so. Now, that will put him back in. There are 13 cars on the lead lap, so that should put him in 12th position now. Ernie Irvin would be in 13th position, but he only has, what, 14 laps to go.
Well, I wonder what the strategy thinking was in the pits. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Well, I just talked to Robin Pemberton. He said that they had to. He said this is their way to win the race. Possibly. They needed new tires. He said they figure they can pass 3 cars per lap and get their way back to the front. It's just a little bit of strategy, although it may seem a little bit odd with a championship on the line.
Remember the last caution flag with both Rick Mast and Jeff Bodine pitted? They were back in that heavy traffic, and Mast ended up getting some wall contact out of it, so we got to be careful. What's going to happen to Mark Martin? We'll find out when we come back with a green flag after this.
It's ever so tough being ranked #1 and not being rank.
Playing the game without getting gamey. What assists me is Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette with its maximum protection and aromatically airy scents. It's the essence of good gamesmanship. After all, when one is capable of home runs, why play foul? Right Guard Sports Stick, deodorant, and antiperspirant. Anything less would be uncivilized.
At Midas, we do brake work, not guesswork. That's why we give you a good price after we pull all 4 wheels and give you a free inspection. Then we spell out exactly what you're going to need, exactly what we're going to do, and exactly what it's going to cost. No surprises. We road test the job and guarantee every brake shoe and pad for as long as you own your car. Sure, we want your business, but not at the expense of your safety. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
I don't worry about the quality of parts my mechanic uses. Put in whatever's cheapest, son. I'm gonna get rid of it once the ashtrays are full anyway.
Quality service starts with quality parts, and your Big A Pro's got them. So look for the sign of the Big A Pro.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway. Well, you see it right there. If it ended right now, Earnhardt would be the point leader going into the finale in Atlanta. So Mark Martin has his work cut out for him. He currently is in 12th spot. Only 13 cars in the lead lap. There will be just 12 laps to go when the green flag flies right now as Doyle Ford waves it and Dale Earnhardt puts it in gear and pulls away. Earnhardt really pulling away, but they're shuffling, and there's Martin back in the pack.
Trouble back behind them. Coming off of turn 2, a number of cars have wrecked.
Martin just able to avoid that as Greg Sachs in the car number 18 gets going around. We see a heavily damaged Dale Jarrett's car. Caution flag waving, and they're waving the caution violently at Dale Earnhardt to get him to slow down because there are a lot of cars congested over in turn 2. Now they get going. We talked about the heavy traffic that would be in front of Mark Martin when they made the call to come in and pit.
It looked to me like that Sachs and Martin might have made some contact over in turn 2.
Let's take a look and see what happened.
You can see that glare on the cars.
Now we see the 18 car. He makes contact with the 69 car on Brent Katie. That's who he made the contact with, but he spun right in front of Mark Martin.
Boy, Martin, a tremendous move. Look at it one more time. Martin pulls to the outside, just escapes. Greg Sachs, a couple of cars bouncing off Sachs in the back stretch. The car got the worst end of that deal might have been Dale Jarrett. His car was involved.
He's sitting down in turn 4 stall, so we're going to have to get a wrecker down there to get the Dale Jarrett automobile before we can go back to green.
Jarrett in the Citgo Ford, a victim of circumstance by being in the wrong place at the right time. It looks like the left front sheet metal and also the fender and tire on that car is considerably damaged.
10 laps to go. They were being given the signal. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of damage to the Citgo Ford. Just couldn't get her back to the pits. Dale was running in the 15th position.
Boy, tough break for Jarrett. The team's going to be awfully strong next year when they get a chance to test. Safety crews picking up the Citgo Ford as the laps are winding down. It'll be 10 laps to go, 9 when they come back. We're going to have a shootout. Don't go away. We'll see who'll win it when we come back.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. If you can't wait for car news, get Auto Week. Auto Week covers it all. The great old cars, the auto shows. Auto Week's columnists are controversial and fast. And if you can't wait for racing news, get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week races to bring you the winningest coverage first. If you can't wait, get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring, now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for a full year. 52 issues at the special TV price of $19.95. Just 38 cents an issue. Save $80 off the cover price. You've thought about it. Stop waiting. Do it now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for the News Weekly of Motoring.
Well, the duel in the desert continues as Earnhardt leads the way. Kenny Schrader, Morgan Shepherd, Darrell Waltrip, and Bill Elliott in the top 5. 303 of 312 laps complete here at Phoenix International Raceway. Hope you're enjoying today's Speed World coverage of the NASCAR Winston Cup Checker 500, brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. By Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. Well, moments ago, something Mark Martin didn't want to see, neither did Dale Jarrett up in turn 2.
You see Greg Sachs in the Ultra Slim Fast Chevrolet just get tagged by Brent Cady. In Brent Cady's first stock car race ever, spins right in front of Mark Martin, our Winston Cup point leader. Mark does get by. And he picked up a spot because Greg Sachs was in front of Mark Martin.
Well, Brent Cady, certainly an accomplished sprint and dirt car driver from Campbell, California. Runs awfully well, has run awfully well at Ascot Park over the years. If the race ended right now, well, Martin would still be behind by only 6 points. He has moved up to 10th spot by virtue of a couple of cars. And Earnhardt showing the way as laps are winding down. Martin has got to be pounding that steering wheel saying, we got to have some green flag laps. I got to catch this guy. We'll find out if he can catch him when we come back after this.
Nobody likes getting the cold shoulder. And with Rheem's reliable tri-power gas and electric water heaters, nobody will. Rheem's super high-efficiency tri-power cuts energy bills and delivers plenty of hot water year after year. Don't get the cold shoulder. Let Rheem shower you with warmth. Call your local plumbing professional and ask for Rheem.
Live, top-ranked boxing on ESPN. The place where fighters have stepped into the ring as unknowns, made the right connection, and emerged as champions.
You gotta knock them off to Winston, all right?
One-time world champion Greg Haugen is a man on a mission to regain the lightweight crown. Hard-hitting Felix Gonzalez stands in his way on Top Rank Boxing. Thursday night at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Still under caution at Phoenix International Raceway. The field being given the one-to-go sign as they will get the green flag next time by. Congratulations to Travis Carter, who's the Western Auto mechanic of the race here. Travis Carter, of course, the owner and preparer of the Banquet Chevrolet that Rick Mass has run so well with today. Travis Carter will get $1,000 courtesy of the Western Auto folks. The Western Auto Mechanic of the Race Award goes to him today. Now, Mark Martin currently being shown in 10th place, and he would go into Atlanta 6 points down. Now, he has to get to at least 8th place in order to go back to Atlanta and keep the points lead. It means he has to pass 2 cars that are in front of him, which is, of course, Davey Allison in 9th and Jeff Bodine in 8th. So we'll see what's going to happen. There's Martin back in 10th position in the Folgers Ford, getting set for the green flag.
Now, Bodine and Davey Allison both have on relatively fresh tires on their cars, too, Jerry. So Mark Martin made that pit stop for fresh tires, but I'm not sure he's going to get the full benefit of them because so many laps have been run under caution here.
There will be just 6 laps of green flag racing left. Martin has his work cut out for him. So does Earnhardt and Kenny Schrader up front. Doyle Ford waving the green flag. Mark Martin wasting no time trying to go to work on Davey Allison, but remember, there's the old Sedgwick's car on the inside. He's trying to win a championship too. He came in and made a pit stop. They got to dispense with some of the lap cars on the inside. Double file restart.
And here comes Ernie Irvin. He also made a pit stop for fresh tires since Mark Martin has. Look at the heavy traffic. There's trouble up in turn 4. There's a car up against the wall. It's car number 93.
Troy
5
Beebe.
laps to go.
Troy Beebe has tagged the wall up in turns 3 and 4, and he gets the car fired.
No caution.
As yet, no caution flag, and that's a break for Mark Martin. Is Martin now beginning to make his move?
He goes by the Davey Allison car, tries to go by, but there is some traffic up there. He does clear him. He's up to 9th. Now he'd be 2 points behind if the race was to end. But here comes Ernie Irvin.
Ernie Irvin on the inside, and Martin has got caught behind one of the slower cars, and Irvin is going underneath him.
So now he's back to where he was.
Exactly.
6 points.
6 points behind.
4 laps to go. They cross the line. That's 5. And Martin now getting boxed in behind some slower traffic. That's Rick Wilson in front of him.
And there comes the 73 car, Bill Smith, who's trying to win a championship.
Now the back straightaway into turn 3. Martin has got to catch Ernie Irvin and possibly Jeff Bodine. As Irvin now just beginning to pull away a little bit, going by the Dave Marcus car.
Yeah, he's going to have a tough time passing any other car that means points for him. To pass Dave Marcus, that's not points because Dave is a couple of laps down.
Boy, they are got their fist wound up tight. They are hoping and hoping and hoping that it will hold on. Earnhardt has been the dominant car here all afternoon. After the Rusty Wallace exit with the blown engine in lap 50, it has been all Dale Earnhardt and Goodwrench Chevrolet. 2 laps to go. Earnhardt will get the white flag next time by. If he can hold on and Martin cannot catch any other cars, Earnhardt will take the points lead. But they're battling back in the pack. Kulwicki in the car number 7. That's Rick Mast in 98 and Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser Ford.
Kulwicki goes by the lap car, Derek Cope. White flag is out for our leader, Dale Earnhardt.
Final lap for Dale Earnhardt as the Goodwrench Chevrolet goes hustling off into turn 1. They have got to be smiling in the Goodwrench pits if they can just hold on for about 3/4 of a mile. Where is Mark Martin? There's Earnhardt. Martin, well, there he is, trying to hold on. He's still being shown in the 9th spot. Not quite going to do it as he's trying to catch Ernie Irvan.
Terry Labonte blew an engine across the start-finish line as he got the white flag.
And Dale Earnhardt will come out of turn 4 and take the checkered flag to win the Checker 500. Earnhardt's Goodwrench crew celebrating. There's Richard Childress.
Martin crashes down in turn 1.
But they had got their checkered flag already, and he ran down there, and there was nothing but smoke and sun in front of those drivers after Terry Labonte blew, and Mark Martin was trying to pass a car for a position, get across the start-finish line, and could not get it stopped as he got into a couple of people. That was from Terry Labonte's blown engine. Terry blew the engine as he crossed the start-finish line in the Skoal Classic Oldsmobile number 1 as he got the white flag.
There couldn't have been a worse place for that smoke to come up, but you already had a glare problem, as we showed you earlier in turn 1. You had some visibility difficulties. Now with all the smoke there, you see Martin's car heavily damaged as Davey Allison pulls up alongside Dale Earnhardt, who is victorious today, and Earnhardt will take the points lead into Atlanta Raceway. Let's go down with the jubilant Richard Childress, who is standing by with Rick DeBrule.
I think jubilant is definitely the key word here. Did you ever think you'd come away with the points lead and the victory?
Well, I didn't know we had the points lead, but, you know, we just run as hard as we can. We did what we wanted to do, come out here and lead as many laps, try to lead the most laps. This team just, you know, did a super job. Dale done a super job, and, you know, that Chevrolet aluminum for Goodwrench, it's just super.
It looks flawless. I mean, was there ever a problem during the race?
No, we made one little adjustment early, and from then on, it was just, you know, pretty much home free.
You're 6 points ahead going into Atlanta. You got to feel like it's your home turf.
Oh, it's a great feeling just to be in the lead. You know, it ain't going to be easy. You know, Mark and those guys are going to run, and we're just going to give it all we got that last race. That's what you got to do to win the championship.
Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt, that will be the scene coming up in Atlanta.
Indeed, a big smile from Dale Earnhardt, and indeed he's got to be smiling. He led 262 of 312 laps en route to win number 9 for 1990 from the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Dale Earnhardt standing by in victory lane. When we come back, we'll hear from him about his great day today. Stay with us. Back in a minute.
Time to go, boys. You've been in there long enough.
Hey, we're not even tired. I feel good.
So I've checked the mileage, Andy.
Hey, we're the order lights. We're guaranteed.
Guaranteed?
I feel good. Yeah, 2 years no matter how far we go.
But no spark plug guarantees that.
We do. Yeah, we're the auto lights.
But
So go pull the plug on somebody else.
Okay.
Now, Norelco has taken a razor that was seemingly perfect and made it better by giving you a new level of closeness without giving up any of our legendary comfort. Norelco's patented lift and cut system has been improved to lift each hair and cut it even closer without the blades touching your skin, giving you an even closer shave with the same incredible comfort. The new Norelco, a whole new level of closeness and comfort.
I burn with desire each time my heart fans the fire to that old flame that burns inside of me. There's nobody in his right mind would have left her
of George Strait. Brought to you by Bud Light.
Kodacolor Gold 100.
I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors.
Kodacolor Gold 100 film. No print film anywhere gives you truer, more accurate, more realistic color.
True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
The same battery that has started 9 out of 10 NASCAR winners since 1977 also starts millions of cars all over America every day. Die hard. More power when you need it most.
Well, the Checker 500 is history, and now with a fellow who's not happy one bit. Our Sears Road Handler Winter Circle interview, John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt, a happy Dale Earnhardt. Dale, you know, you really made it look easy out there today.
It wasn't that easy. You know, Richard and Kirk and all the guys did a good job with this Jim Goodwrench Chevrolet, and they just worked hard all week practicing and come out here with a good race car. And, you know, I got to hand it to Eddie Lanier and all the guys in the shop. And, you know, they worked real hard for this race. And, you know, we scuffed a couple sets of tires and got, you know, sort of ready for the race and had a game plan. We were just going to go out there and try to run. Rusty, I think, was our major competition, and he had his problems, and we just sort of had to keep her cool and get and you know, get in and out good, and that's what we done all day, and sort of forced the issue. We put the pressure back on Mark.
Well, you do take over the points lead, I believe, now. Heading into Atlanta, got to feel good about that.
That's great. You know, we couldn't feel any better about the points. The guys have been working hard to try to catch back up since pace that we got behind. And I'm glad we're in front going to Atlanta, because I think we can put a little pressure on Mark down there.
Well, let's check in with Mark Martin down there.
Mark Martin played a strategy game towards the end of the race. Obviously, it didn't turn out the way you would expect it, but were you boxed in? Was that some of the problem?
Well, yeah, you know, it just didn't turn out for us today. You know, we did everything we could. We were looking good till that one caution came out. I think we were going to finish fourth, and we were looking pretty good, but I'd used my tires up pretty much, you know, staying in fourth place. And we were counting the laps down, and the tires were used up. It was looking good. Then when they got a caution, we were in trouble. We were going to have to change tires, and that kind of cost us, but we're just going to have to take the Folgers Valvoline Thunderbird to Atlanta and outrun them guys. I mean, that's all we can do. We've done our best, and my hat's off to the crew. You know, they're fighters. They've done everything they can possibly do, and they've really, you know, given me a lot of support.
Well, there's going to be one last shootout in Atlanta.
Indeed, we'll take a look at the top 10 here. Earnhardt, Schrader, Morgan Shepherd, Waltrip, and Bill Elliott in the top 5. 6 through 10, Kowicki, Mass, Bodine, Ernie Irvan, and Mark Martin finishing 10th. The point standings going into Atlanta. Dale Earnhardt takes the point lead by 6 points over Mark Martin, and Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, and Rusty Wallace in the top 5. A tremendous run today and a dominant afternoon by the Intimidator. The Winston West champion is Bill Schmidt. He finished 17th over Bill Sedgwick. For Rick DeBrule and John Kernan, Ned Jarrett, and Benny Parsons, I'm Jerry Punch saying so long from Phoenix. Congratulations to Dale.
Olympics coming to Georgia, and that worries me because everybody's going to see what big goobers we are now, you know. Because we can't compete with Barcelona. Remember how cool the opening games were in Barcelona? Remember that? They had the guy that lit the burning arrow on the first shot and made it into the cup and lit the Olympic flame. And I'm thinking, you know, in Atlanta, they'll probably have some redneck flick his cigarette butt at the rag he's got stuck to the tank of his Nova, you know, yeah!
I ain't gonna work here no more. I ain't gonna work here no more. Honey, come and dance with me, 'cause I ain't gonna work here no more. I feel like I'm walking on air. I feel like I'm walking on air. And I can